Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity, a show about weirdos. With your hosts, John Fahey, Aaron Peter, and Matt Brousseau.
Hello, folks. Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity. It's a show about weirdos, doggone it. My name is John Boy. It is John Boy time. Your host, John Fahey, the COVID kid, COVID barely 18. Joining me as ever, the handsomest man under the sun, Michelangelo's David Duchovny, Aaron Joseph Peter.
You're going to need something bigger than a fig leaf.
You said it, neighbor.
You know, a fucking banana leaf or something like that.
Banana peel.
One of those elephant ears.
That's right. Yeah, one of those ones.
Get that good banana sheath.
Yeah, and wrap it up, bury it, steam it.
To my left, live from Chineseville, a handsome Matt Brousseau.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
And joining us once again,
Oh
a
my
very,
God.
very, very, very pretty man. Joe Kaye returns to the program.
Oh, wow.
So good to have you here.
Thank
Look at
you
him
so
over there.
much, John Boy. I'm so happy to be here with you.
Me
Pretty
too.
beautiful, gorgeous men. Look
Yeah.
at
Have you
this.
here.
We'll pull what we're going to be in a train later. That's what we're going to.
Yeah.
Girl on a train.
Who's the
Centipede
caboose?
or, a millipede.
Millipede.
Whatever it takes.
Hectopede, whatever it is, as long as we're peeing,
We
right?
could say we're pedophiles.
I'm a pita file.
Yeah, I consider myself more of a pedophile.
yeah.
I'm from the UK. Okay.
Call the pita.
I'll have a nice pizza.
Joe Kaye, you and I spoke. I demanded you return to the show.
You absolutely demanded it.
You obeyed.
I obeyed because,
obeyed.
I mean, you are the master, I am the slave, and the flag is falling.
Oh, that's kinky.
That's very kinky.
That's some kinky shit.
It's half-mast, baby.
I think that is an ominous sign of things to come.
Happens
Yeah.
every episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you can guess who taped it.
Ugh.
What, man? Get some real tape in this fucking house.
I'm not gonna have you duct tape my
Fucking-
walls.
Why?
It's gonna rip the paint
It'll
off.
take all the fucking smear off the fucking walls.
Schmear?
Yeah.
What is that? What is
Bagel
it? Bagel?
walls?
It's all the dude breath. It's all over these walls. Come on.
You got a patina of
You got-
dude breath?
Yeah, there's a thick soap.
Scrape the shit off, man.
There's some lady breath and non-gendered breath too. Okay?
Nice. Oh, nice.
Wow.
And we discussed, Joe,
Yes.
that you wanted to talk about Disney, which, Aaron, did you go to Disney growing up?
I grew up in Los Angeles, didn't go to Disneyland until I was
What?
like 12 years old.
Okay,
Okay.
so you've been, though.
I've been to
You're
Disneyland.
you're familiar.
You've never been. Matt,
I've been.
you have been.
I've been twice. No, once. I don't know.
Oh,
At least once.
okay. I've never been.
I've been,
and I
to
lived
Disney World too.
I lived in Florida, and I never went to Disney World.
Well, you weren't allowed in.
Good.
You got, they got one
You know
of those
what?
rules,
Good.
right?
Yeah, they don't let they.
Good.
John, I will say they don't let the Irish in.
Yeah. Disney had some hangups.
No Jews, no Irish.
He was-
That's actually very shocking that I was allowed in. It's the blonde hair and the blue eyes. That's
Mhm, yeah. The blue hair and the blonde eyes.
Ah.
Oh, nice. So you wanted to tell us about...
Oh, dude. I wanted to tell you so much. It started.
Tell us.
The thing is, I wanted to come and talk to you guys about the weird, like some of the weird shit at Disney, Disneyland, Disney World, all over. You know,
Tokyo Disney.
I wish I could have been getting into the international parks, but this already
Well,
was
next
becoming a titan of a thing to get
Hell
through.
yeah.
Because
Remember the Titans.
I do
Disney
remember
movie.
the Titans. It was a Disney movie. And, oh my God, that Denzel Washington.
It was.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in a long time. Couldn't
It's really good.
but yeah, what I wanted to get into was like I realized that so much of what we know Disney parks to be now, what you think of when you think of Disney parks, is like fully not what they were. Like Disney parks used to be like truly weird, wacky schmacky places that
Really?
like a lot of what I'm going to be talking about today, I'm really like reading about it, seeing it with my very own eyes, growing up with some of it broke my brain, like going back to it. And we're going to go all the way back. We're going to go back to 1955 when Disneyland first opened. And we're going to start there. If
Marty,
you don't
please.
mind, I'll take it away.
And I really don't know anything. So like I said, I need some of the broad strokes on,
Yeah.
on the history. But, nothing too convoluted, but I just don't know anything about Disney.
Okay.
Nothing.
Okay. And if you have anybody has any questions,
We'll shoot them to you.
Feel free to.
I'll email you.
Yeah. CC me. Whether it's about theme parks, because I don't know if there's probably some technical terms and stuff in here that I will have to explain. But so I'll get us going. So on July 17th, 1955, Disneyland opened to very mixed reviews. The construction in the weeks leading up to opening were extremely rushed, and Walt Disney was very quickly running out of money. The park was built from the ground up in 1 year and 1 day from the announcement.
Wow.
Which is out
of control.
Nowadays, they're saying, we're going to open up a new gate. It'll be ready by 2030. Okay.
Yeah.
And it was all dwarves who built it.
100%.
Oompa Loompas.
Yeah.
All of them. He hired all of the dwarves.
They were Italian. They were Goomba Loompas. Actually, and the only time.
The only time what?
Good.
Good. Very good.
Now this was in Anaheim, California,
Yes,
and
this
this was at the time when it really was all orange groves.
Yeah.
100% orange groves. It was cheap ass land that they built. That they bought. Quite literally, the construction was going up to minutes before they were opening. We're literally talking about the bathrooms were still under construction.
Wet paint.
Not just wet paint, wet cement. We're talking, and it was the middle of the summer.
People
in
just thinking,
Anaheim, California.
is this a ride?
100-degree weather. Women's shoes were literally heels were getting stuck in the cement. They were sinking in. And to top it off, everything was being televised. Everything was being televised.
God.
And there were so many celebrities there. You had the obvious, you had Sinatra and Reagan were among the many celebrities to be there. The only way to be able to go on opening day, you had to be invited with a special ticket that would say admit one and party. And party. One of the big problems was complete overcrowding. They were expecting about 15,000 people that day, and they got twice that amount.
What about the tickets were just 4 people would come with one
and
person.
party.
Well, that was what they would assume people would use it for. Oh, you and your family. But as I have one name here. What's the guy's name? Yeah, there were some people Ron Dominguez used it to admit an entire bus full of people.
Jesus.
Nice. Way to go, Ron.
But not only
Dominguez.
that are people taking advantage of the wording on the tickets. People were fence hopping, hardcore,
Whoa.
hardcore
They
fence
hadn't
hopping.
finished the fences.
There was even reports of one guy that was literally charging people $5 to use his ladder to climb over the fence into Disneyland.
That's amazing.
Which I figured that was if there was ever a person that deserved to be shouted out on this fucking show, it's the guy that say, "You want to come use my ladder?
It's a ride.
You want to see the mouse? You want to see the castle? Come take a quick climb."
Now, maybe you know this. What was the state of theme parks at the time? Right, just
it was very.
shit?
The thing that Walt Disney, his whole idea was he wanted to have an amusement park that wasn't like Coney Island or the Santa Monica Pier. He wanted to take the gross trashiness out of it all and just wanted to have a pristine, lovely place that in his brain that was where parents and children can go on the rides together. Right, yeah. They can enjoy an experience together for the whole family.
The trash is the point of Coney Island. Even there's trash in the water. There's trash on the ground. There's people are trash.
Riding the rides.
Even Coney Island today is a hollow shell of what it was when, in the 90s when I was going there, it was still kind of a seedy fucking place.
Yeah, that's when I went too.
Once the sun went down, without proper supervision or whatever the fuck it was.
But he's basically doing the thing where he's going all right, fuck the Gravitron, fuck Lobster Boy crawling around, and let's get some nice white entertainment. Is basically what he's doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But some of the things that were happening because of the overcrowding, they have a riverboat there that if you've for the two that have been there, the big
the Jungle
riverboat.
Cruise.
Yeah.
Not the Jungle Cruise, the Mark Twain riverboat. Big riverboat.
Very nice.
That was
Still there.
sinking during
day one?
and flooding. Day one, it was flooding due to overcrowding.
We're missing a board.
And it took
Got some stowaways.
it took quite a few months for shit to actually start start running smoothly. Some incidents over the course of the opening months was there was a stagecoach that was just constantly toppling over. They have a ride there called Autotopia that's been there. It's still there to this day, where you can like drive little cars on that. Now are attached to like a track that, but they used to not be. It used to just be free reign, drive these little cars, and people were crashing them into each other. Obviously, like you give teenagers the ability to take shitty little metal cars that aren't theirs, and they're just like, here, literally drive them on a mini freeway. They're gonna crash into each other. And my personal favorite one, a tiger got loose from a circus parade.
Oh boy!
And staged a quote bit of a death struggle, according to the papers.
A death struggle?
What does that mean?
I do not.
Who's death?
Whose struggle?
Oh, they probably shot that tiger in front of kids.
Killed it.
Dead. But believe me when I say the circus theme, like circus stuff there stayed for a long time, because Walt Disney, for some fucking reason, was like full tits obsessed with the circus. Like he like insisted there be circus shit, even though like even at the time the circus in and of itself was kind of just like going out
away.
of fashion. So it made no sense for, I mean, I think like
I guess for him it was the spectacle before he made Disneyland.
it is this, it's the spectacle of it all. Come see the beasts from foreign lands.
Yeah, he made Dumbo.
So I'm gonna bring up like some of the oddest things that were like attractions that were available to visit on opening day. So first things first, there was a working bank on site.
Cool.
So it's
Best ride in town.
Best ride in town. I just
Did they have
found
Disney
it.
bucks back then?
But no, but you're not far off.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
So there was a thing, I think it was maybe in like the 70s, maybe the 80s when it got implemented, but there's things called Disney dollars, where it was like literal currency that you can spend exchange your money for Disney dollars that could be spent in only there on park property. And they still, I think they still do them.
But now have to take them.
They're more seen as like a souvenir thing, like, you know, because they have like 1, 5, 10, 20. So like I know I have like a couple of friends that like have like these cool little like plaques framed.
Yeah. Frame money.
Yeah, the memorabilia. Like,
if
come
they ever
look
need
at
to, they could smash the
I
glass.
still have coke through mine.
Come get your commemorative Donald Trump survived COVID coin.
I love that.
That's
if
real.
If that money didn't go to him, I would buy that.
I honestly, I think I would too. If it
really
didn't go directly to him.
It will be something of a souvenir collector's item. But I think it actually just goes. I think it's just some guy making it. Like, it's not going to the campaign.
I guess I could just pay to have my own.
It's just some fucking
Some guy got the website before anybody else.
some MAGA guy. You know.
Yeah.
Great. So
What were you gonna say?
No, I don't know. That's some MAGA guy. That's all it is. It's not like it's going to the campaign.
No, it's not.
So, excuse me. So on opening day, there was a working bank there, sponsored by Bank of America. It was a working Bank of America on site. The opening day brochure maps were sponsored by Bank of America, and the relationship between Disney and Bank of America actually dates like much farther back, because Bank of America helped them finance the release of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Weird.
So they would actually provide a lot of financial backing for a lot of the studio's earliest animated films, as well as play a huge role in the construction of Disneyland. So, I mean, it was obvious that like they would have some sort of relationship once the park came to open. And there was like I said, there was a complimentary brochure map that was made available to all guests who would utilize the branch's services or just stop to take a look. In fact, 2 of the 16 panels are dedicated to the facility that was built to coincide with the turn of the century style of Main Street, which is Main Street, the main thoroughfare of Disneyland, was styled to look and feel inspired by Walt's hometown. I think it was Iowa or Illinois, somewhere
Interesting.
in the Midwest. Very idyllic, small town, wanted that feel to it.
Right. 1955, Back to the Future.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. But you would think it's good dates even further back because, it would be like maybe like 1912.
Sure, yeah.
So this is the text that would read inside of the introductory text inside of the brochure. Disneyland Branch Bank of America. In the unique old-fashioned atmosphere of this branch, you might find it hard to believe that it's a fully equipped, completely modern banking office. Yes, that's why we're here, to be your bank away from home. It is our desire to provide you with the same friendly service you receive at your own hometown branch. Out-of-state visitors, as well as our regular California customers and friends, are cordially invited to take use of these facilities.
Can you apply for a home loan?
I really wish I would have been able to find the actual details of what you could do there.
I think you could apply for a gnome loan.
A gnome loan, only if you were white. It was accurate turn of the century Main Street USA
That's true.
bank.
Yeah, you can't get a gnome.
Can you imagine being the Bank of America employees that volunteer
Oh yeah.
to go work at Disney?
Well,
Yeah.
imagine being like the postal worker that's got to pick up the letters from Disneyland because they have working
Yeah.
They probably have their own
mailboxes.
post office.
Yeah.
that you could, you get postcards, you drop them in, and you just and send them off into the world. I've done it.
Yeah.
I found it very funny that you can get something stamped from Disneyland and have it sound like that's kind
It's
of
probably
cute.
got it. I mean, it certainly has its own zip code. It must have its own zip code.
Disneyland, no. Disney World, probably.
Because they have the residential neighborhood.
Well, Celebration in Florida is a few miles outside.
Oh, is it really? I thought it was right next to it.
No. It's down the
interesting.
road. The property. I mean, they have
And so
multiple
Celebration-
zip codes in Florida.
Celebration is a Disney-owned.
Yeah, community.
Yes,
community,
it was.
yeah.
I mean, we're gonna get to not
sure.
necessarily Celebration, but it actually is something that Walt always had in his brain and his heart was to have this
The idyllic
perfect,
suburb.
the community of tomorrow.
Right.
Which is the. You ever see the Stepford Wives?
Oh yeah, of course.
The original.
Oh yeah.
So the character's name is Diz.
That's right. It is.
It's because he's modeled after Walt Disney.
I never knew that. I
Wow.
never knew that. Interesting. Well, look at you. Teach me. Give me a little wink. Teach me a
Just
little
throw a
something.
little something in
Something
there.
to take home with you.
No, but as far as I know, the only thing that you could do in this bank was basically get the other time equivalent of the Disney dollars. You can get you were able to get special Bank of America money orders from the Disneyland bank. But as far as I looked at photos of these things and they just look like colored money orders, like purple, blue, orange, and green. There's nothing special on them. There's almost nothing on there that would indicate that these came from Disneyland at all. It was just Bank of America money orders. Strange. I do not understand why. I don't understand why there needed to be a working bank on
You couldn't have
site.
Mickey Mouse on it. People look and go, what's this Mickey Mouse shit?
This is a Mickey Mouse bank order.
When he talks about that,
How did Mickey Mouse?
what do people inside Disney?
This is a real Mickey Mouse job.
Do they use the term Mickey Mouse when talking about poor quality things? That was something we were talking about at work
It was
one day.
It was Disney makes.
That wasn't that long ago. That was a few weeks ago.
No, it was maybe a little bit longer.
They were like, this is a fucking Mickey Mouse park.
Think about all the high quality shit Disney makes.
Yeah.
Marvel movies, Star Wars, everything. And a lot of it they just bought, but they make really high quality shit.
It's not Mickey Mouse shit.
It's not Mickey Mouse shit. When did Mickey Mouse become
a term for rinky-dink bullshit.
And I think so. I looked this up. I think.
You think
No.
Maybe this is a dream I
you
had.
probably know. You probably.
I think it goes back to the early animations with Mickey, around Steamboat Willie time, where he's fucking up shit and he's constantly trying to plug leaks or whatever, and then Sorcerer's Apprentice stuff.
I would have assumed that it would have came from the fact that once it was this giant commercial success of all the people that would rip it off and make bootleg merchandise.
That's
When
interesting
you said
too.
rinky-dink
Okay.
Mickey Mouse shit, I was like, it would be like a Mickey Mouse doll that you wouldn't get in the park, but you'd get from the store down
Like
the
Mackie
road.
Mouse.
yeah. Or like Bort Simpson.
Ricky Rat.
So some of the other notable shops on opening day on Main Street, there was the Maxwell House Coffee House, Random Parts Jewelry Store. There was
called Random Parts?
It was called Random Parts Jewelry Store. There was a piano and organ store on Main Street. Like you could buy a piano at
Cool,
Disneyland.
yeah. Got my piano at Disneyland.
And these
Wheel it
two,
home.
I got all these organs. There's an organ market at Disneyland.
and these last two, this first one, just the name of it is insane. Don Frank's Grandma's Babies Infants Wear. That's
So
Don Frank's Grandma's Babies Infants Wear.
Yeah.
So I guess it was Don Frank's store. It was called Grandma's Babies,
Yeah.
and they sold infant
Can you
wear.
believe these grandmas are still fucking?
No, it's Don Frank's grandma's baby wear.
This is what my grandma used to wear.
It was all her
baby.
baby shit.
And this is this is one of the original things that sparked this whole thing that I wanted to come in to talk to you about. The Hollywood Maxwell's corset shop featuring the Wizard of Bras.
That's nice.
Now, Aaron, that's one of your nicknames.
He let. I'm a bra burner, dude.
Yeah.
I think bras are restrictive and have really set women back.
Yeah.
I'm anti-bra.
Yeah, I hear
Let
you.
those fucking
Let 'em
heavy
go.
hangers.
Yeah.
So your host, when you'd go into the store, was the wonderful Wizard of Bras, and he was on a revolving stage, and he would speak to you through the marvel of tape recorder technology.
Wow. What a marvel.
Don't miss the authentic Singer sewing machine from around 1860. It's a most unusual and unique part of the display, according to the advanced publicity. And remember to look at all the 3D boxes to see outer and intimate apparel of the past. As you slowly move your head, you'll see the models turn of the century attire disappear to reveal their corsets and pantaloons.
This is a Disneyland.
This is at Disneyland.
Was there a private booth for this?
I do not think so. I think they were like those just like the boxes that you like look in and like turn
Yeah.
the fucking.
Wow.
Which they something like that kind of still exists. They still have those penny arcade
peep show.
machines that you could go and you turn the little thing and you watch like a little
Yeah.
10-second movie
Porno?
happen.
Porno?
Sadly, no. I wish they used to.
The Disney Smut House.
Oh, dude, there's a.
Oh, the
It
Disney.
essentially
It exists.
The
It's the
Disney
PG
Tiki?
version of having a porno theater.
Yeah.
What it was, and this is the last thing about this that I have here. The Hollywood Maxwell's Intimate Apparel Shop is not just about Victorian past. In fact, half the store is devoted to the latest bras and petticoats of 1955. This shop lasted until January 1956, which was only 6 months later.
God.
No one's buying the corsets.
Yeah. How are the pianos doing?
Organs are doing great.
Oh, she showed her keys and everything. So another thing that existed over in Frontierland, which John is like this, like it's exactly what it sounds like.
Okay.
It's Wild West town.
There's Tomorrowland, Adventureland.
Tomorrowland, Adventureland,
Frontierland.
Frontierland.
So Tomorrowland would be futuristic shit.
Yeah.
Yes,
And then what would Adventureland be like?
like jungles.
Okay.
You know, they on opening day there was the Jungle Cruise. Nowadays it's still there, but they also have like the Indiana Jones ride.
Matterhorn?
there. Matterhorn is actually, believe it or not, part of Fantasyland, or it exists on the border of Fantasyland and Tomorrowland.
Yeah, there's a territory dispute, I think.
There's a court case ongoing.
It feels like it should be in
The bungees are.
Adventureland because
Yeah.
it's basically about encountering a Yeti on
well,
a
maybe
mountain.
that's the fantasy thing.
That is
We've
the
all
That is
wanted
the
it.
fantasy thing. Oh yeah, as if they're not real. To be continued.
The bras was in my fantasy land.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, how is there not porn in Fantasyland?
right.
Just a bunch of orcs.
So. Oh, I like
Wearing
that orc
corsets.
tits.
Yo, I'm about to pork that orc, bro.
Pork the orc. Oh no.
We were talking about orcs last night too, weren't we?
I don't know. We talked about everything, Jen.
You said it, neighbor.
So over in Frontierland on opening day, there was a Davy Crockett Museum located next to the shooting gallery, of course. And it featured a few little showcases, including an Alamo exhibit featuring life-size wax figures of Fess Parker and Buddy Ebsen, who were Davy Crockett and Jed Clampett on the television show The Beverly Hillbillies.
Oh, okay.
And a historical firearms display sponsored by the NRA.
What?
Historical fire.
That's amazing. The NRA is in Disneyland.
On opening
Incredible.
day. Not anymore. Like,
But that's in Pioneer Town.
Yeah.
Okay.
Frontierland, Pioneer,
Frontierland,
whatever
sorry.
you want to call it. It's fine. It's all the same
My
shit.
friend just visited Pioneer Town. That's why it's in my head.
Oh, what's Pioneer Town? I don't.
It's like on the edges of Joshua Tree.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Is that?
Okay.
Yeah, they got Pappy and Harriet's out there.
Yeah.
Oh.
And there is an actual little Wild West
Yeah.
type.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's fun.
And a piano store.
And a piano store. I wonder if the wizard's over there.
Yeah, and an organ donor or whatever.
Yeah, wet market.
It's an organ loaner.
It also just housed a meet and greet with the Davy Crockett character occasionally.
Hi, I'm Davey. Okay.
So while this next thing has nothing to do with Davy Crockett, there was also an authentic Native American village that was
they had
located
Italian men?
next to. Yes, actually, no. Believe it, I'm really. This is actually a pretty cool thing that Disney had done, except for the fact that it was located at the time next to the Aunt Jemima Pancake House.
Oh God! Yeah, and don't forget the NRA's in there too. I mean, Jesus
So
Christ!
this village.
Nazis from America's past.
The village would feature a full dance circle performance with a full-blooded Native American chief, and
Wow.
in a really surprisingly progressive move from Disney, they would contract a different tribe every 6 months to teach the guests about the various differences in Native American culture.
And it was just before or after the song "What Makes the Red Man Red."
What's
I'm
that?
sure before, because
Okay.
that's from Peter Pan,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Peter Pan's when? 56, 57?
I remember.
Maybe earlier. No, maybe not. Who cares?
It's a racist song for Peter Pan.
Yeah, it's a rough section of that movie to get through. And that's why they have the advisory warning on Peter Pan on
No shit.
Disney Plus,
on Disney Plus.
Warning: racism.
Yeah. Hey.
Hey, well, at least they're asking the question. What makes the red man red?
I don't know.
They at least they're. Am I wrong?
Anger.
So this
Fire.
the village was eventually moved and expanded further, but it didn't last that much longer after that.
They moved. They relocated.
They relocated. Well, to give them a bigger
nicer,
space to
yeah.
be able to have more guests be able to experience the
Yeah,
thing.
on fertile land, I'm sure.
So this is. I hate you.
I'm so fucking sick.
I didn't do it.
No, it's very funny what you're doing. I really like it a lot because you're saying that they were moving them to another.
No, it's a nicer.
It's so
It's a
bad.
special
It's
place
so
that we
bad. It's
reserve
so
for
bad.
you.
I know you have family buried here, but
I know, but he's. So
Yeah, you've got family buried right under the Davy Crockett Museum, and I hate to put you further back into
But
the
we need
rivers
to
of
put-
America, but
yeah. The whole thing.
We gotta put a gift store here, man.
fucking asshole.
we got to put the mercantile.
This is authentic American history.
We're putting a new tram through the park.
We got to put the monorail through here. What are we going to do?
yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So the biggest attraction in Frontierland on opening day was a literal mule ride.
Hey.
So
I've never ridden a mule.
I've never ridden a mule either. Well, let's
It's a
get in a
donkey
time
show.
machine. So groups of 10, each one would get their own mule and be led through a path of tall rocks and the desert-like conditions of Frontierland. At the height of its popularity, there would be 75 working mules on Disney property a day.
Whoa.
And this ride, believe it or not, lasted 20 years before
Yeah?
it closed in
Sounds like a great time.
1975.
Yeah.
Just to ride some mules around.
Right? But I mean, I guess what you think about the theming that they put in Disneyland, so it was you're going through the desert.
Yeah, you're going into a world, right?
Yeah, you're entering the world. You're not just fucking taking it around a horse track.
Yeah. Well, that's what I like. I like how raw these ideas are. Some of those mules must have bit or kicked somebody.
Oh, there's no way.
You know-
they had to have.
It's so stupid and
I mean,
raw.
there was
that it's real.
many accounts of literal stubborn mules that wouldn't want to go anywhere.
They've
They
been
just
working all
fucking
day.
stop in the middle of the path and be like, no, I'm not gonna continue. We're just gonna we're gonna stop here. Bam. Yeah, exactly, Aaron.
Shut it.
They probably did that in front of the kids.
Yeah, but the mules, they work like mules. So,
Yeah.
and cheap.
Yeah, you barely pay those guys.
And they're infertile.
Right.
So, I mean, we're not going to get into Fantasyland yet because there's only one thing I want to mention in Fantasyland, and that's going to be the end of this little section. I want to go quickly over to Tomorrowland because the shit over there is just particularly fucking crazy. Because you think about it's the 1955 vision of the future, which, they're like, by the year 85, we'll have many men on the
Many men.
many men on the moon, I was going to say.
You said you were going to do Fantasyland later, dude.
And then it just just occurred to me that like this park opened 14 years prior to the moon landing.
Wow.
Like space was still
Space.
no one had any fucking clue what the fuck was up there.
Final Frontier.
Fantastic Four.
On opening day in Tomorrowland, there was a free walk-through science museum called the Monsanto Hall of Chemistry.
Right.
Dude,
That's
right.
Focusing on the wonders of chemicals and plastics.
They're gonna be inside of you one day.
Yeah. The inside was an exhibit promoting Monsanto's creation of various products. The signature exhibit was called the Chematron. It was 8 tubes, each containing a different basic natural element that would be used to create over 500 chemicals. This shockingly lasted for 11 years.
Wow.
This would then be replaced by another Monsanto-sponsored attraction called Adventures Through Inner Space,
Monsanto's Science Roundup.
which then would be replaced by Star Tours, which is still there, which is the Star Wars motion simulator ride. John, I can't believe you
Yeah, we should go. I hate Disneyland, but I'll go.
dude.
Well, now they got. I mean, I don't want to ruin, but they got a lot more new shit now that I have not seen. Because last time I went
you're
to
gonna
Disneyland,
lose your mind with
Like,
the
all the
state
new-
of it now. It's
I'm
insane.
sure I would love it.
You go to California Adventure, you can drink some beer.
I've been
we're gonna-
that was the last time I went. Was
We're going to
grad
talk
night of high
about
school.
California Adventure and the shit show that it was when it first
boy.
opened. Because
Yeah.
that whole thing feels like Phase 1 California Adventure feels like a fucking fever dream. Like it makes no sense, but we're a long way off from there. Another insane exhibit at Tomorrowland was the Aluminum Hall of Fame. I knew specifically that was going to get you. I knew specifically.
The Aluminium Hall of Fame.
The Aluminium Hall of Fame. That's how I pronounce it when I'm spelling it out so that I know how I'm spelling it. Aluminium.
Now, aluminum has a lot of uses. Here are the best things we've ever made with it.
So the self-guided tour featured dozens of wild creations, all made out of aluminum. Guests were first greeted by the Kaiser, the aluminum pig, who was the mascot for the
Kaiser, the
Holy
aluminum
shit.
He
pig.
has a little statue out front, and he would, greet guests as they walked in.
Hello.
He was the mascot alongside a massive telescope that was made out of aluminum. Next, guests would see the more practical uses for aluminum, such as appliances and building materials. And the final hall was the future of aluminum.
At long last.
Finally.
The two biggest things here were the Time Sphere, which was a massively highly polished aluminum sphere that displayed medieval knights, firemen, and astronauts, all wearing aluminum. And the other thing was the brightest star in the world of metals, which was a giant metallic glowing star. Kaiser didn't want to stick around and got out the minute their 5-year contract was up. Like
What? Are you talking about
right-
the aluminum pig?
Well, the company that.
the company Kaiser aluminum.
Dude,
Sorry, because
I thought his name
Sorry.
was Kaiser.
It is.
But it's named
Kaiser.
after Kaiser.
Kaiser the aluminum pig
You understand
was
where
the
I'm
mascot
in
for
my
Kaiser.
head when
I'm
you say
Kaiser,
that.
the aluminum pig.
I
My
thought-
contract's
I mean,
up,
you're
man.
not-
I walk, Disney. I walk.
I used to say hello. Now I say
I also
goodbye.
think and negotiate.
I am.
Also, I want to shout out that located in the same building as the Hall of Chemistry and the Aluminum Hall of Fame was the Bathroom of Tomorrow.
Nice.
That was built only to be seen, not used. Sadly enough.
Yeah, in the future, no one pisses or shit.
It featured a wide array of modern conveniences. The fixtures were styled by celebrity industrial designer Henry Dreyfuss. I wonder if that's any relation to
Richard?
I wonder if that's like a grandfather or
Probably.
something. That would be interesting. And I'm sorry, they were vibrant citrus yellow, the ones that weren't plated in 24 karat gold. That is
Good God.
Christ. It is Trump's toilet.
Yeah.
Because this was an unusual exhibit, it called for an unusual dedication. Instead of a formal ribbon cutting, Walt Disney was joined by Dreyfuss and Crane Company president Frank F. Elliott for a fun valve turning ceremony.
One of them used the bidet.
In addition to the fixtures, the display also featured ceramic figurines, a pair of sunglasses, a telephone, and even dumbbells for folks who enjoyed exercising while soaking in the tub.
What? Oh, they were just figuring out exercise and bathing.
You're joking me.
I'm not kidding.
Exercising in the tub.
Yeah.
The concept of it, yeah.
Rub-a-dub-dub, baby.
It was what was going to happen
I'm
in the
down.
future. Like it'll be the future of it's the bathroom of tomorrow.
Yeah.
You'll be working out and you'll bum soap.
for you, in your weekly bath.
Take it from me, the aluminum pig.
So
I'm also a toilet.
I mean, one big notable thing about this was that at the time it featured state-of-the-art heating and air conditioning, which was not a thing
Right.
yet. Like it wasn't that luxury that anyone had, like let alone like even the super rich would barely even had air conditioning at this point,
Right.
like good air conditioning, not just like a fucking block of ice in front of a fan.
Right.
With little ribbons on the fan.
So, this is a quote from the brochure, from the handout brochure. Tomorrow's bathroom incorporates the type of heating and cooling which will make you forget the weather.
Wow.
The exhibit was also home to a laundry of the future, which, according to Crane, only hints at a possible attractive settings for a home laundry with Crane materials. Fucking stupid. In addition to all of this, guests could enjoy a, quote, dramatic story of valves.
Of
Valves in a teardrop
valves.
display, and the kids could play with guest-activated faucets located at the exhibit's entrance.
Thank God.
It was a 20-foot showcase along with its accompanying displays. Actually, did give guests a lot of things to look at. Like, believe it or not, it was actually quite an intricate setup. And what's funny is a lot of these things kind of still lived on in a thing called Innoventions in Disneyland. You might be familiar where they had the House of Tomorrow. Where, I mean, and that was more like 80s, 90s, what that decade's vision of the future was going to be. You know, screens are everywhere.
Yeah.
You'll have video phone and things like that.
But it's also just thinking about the amusement park in general is those things where they give you something to play with.
Right.
It's not something you experience. It's like much more interactive. Is interesting.
what was really
Even just when it's fucking faucets and water or whatever.
Exactly.
You know?
Valves.
Yeah.
When I grew up, I want to be a plumber. Better start now.
so
It's a noble profession.
It is.
I mean, there were some rides over in Fantasyland, things that, you know, your typical, you know, you had your Snow White, Scary Adventures. You had like, I don't know if Pinocchio was opening day, but they have like a Pinocchio one there. And this ride still remains there to this day. You know it. You love it. Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
Hell
Yeah. Mr. Toad's is
Mr.
a good
Toad's
one.
Wild Ride is probably the only whisper of true original like Disney insanity
Yeah. Really?
that's
That's
still
left.
located that's still here.
Is it the surviving thing?
No, well, there's Jungle Cruise. There's
Okay.
Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
Matterhorn.
I don't think Matterhorn was not opening day. I think it was maybe like
got it.
a couple of years later. I do not believe it was opening day.
But Senor Toad from the beginning is right on top, and he still exists today.
Still exists
Yeah.
today, and it's the ride has not been changed except for
That's
given like
crazy.
cosmetic updates to make it look nicer.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the story of the ride, which
Splash Mountain there opening day?
no, that was actually the 80s. Splash Mountain didn't come around. That
It
was
that
Eisner
racist?
era. That was Eisner era of
and
Disney.
they did change. They updated that recently, did they not?
They're about to.
Okay, still racist if we go. Well, we can't go now. But
Well,
I
I
don't
mean, I
even
think
know
it's
how it's
officially
racist,
closed because like I don't think it's gonna come back after COVID. I think they're gonna just use all this time to like, yeah, they have because they're changing it finally over to Princess and the Frog, and they have a major amount of work to do to make
shit.
that happen. They're gonna rehaul the entire thing. They have to gut the whole fucking
Right.
thing. And it's the most intricately themed thing there. Like it is
Really?
a wildly immersive ride. I don't want to be one of those people that's like, it's a bummer, it's closing, but it's like, there's a little part of me that's like,
Yeah.
oh, I liked the songs.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
you could just kind of make it a little less racial.
I don't even know how it's racist.
So it's
kind of the
based on
same
the
way
movie
that,
Song of the South,
Yeah.
which is
Oh my god.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Uncle Jemima's
Yes.
mashed liquor type of shit.
specifically the story.
That's the volume.
Specifically the story, the animated segment of Brer Rabbit with Brer Bear and Brer Fox.
Okay.
Specifically is
That's
the story.
Splash Mountain?
That's Splash
Yeah.
Mountain.
Plus, Splash Mountain was just like a fun water ride. Good.
Yeah,
time.
and you thought
mean, it
fucking Aunt
is a
Jemima
fun
was just a
water
lady
ride.
with syrup, man.
Okay.
We learned that
So-
together, did we?
Thank you.
So Aaron, this will be
Hey, we're all We're all learning. We're all doing the best we can.
This will be fun for you. So Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, I believe it was actually originally conceived as a roller coaster. But because Walt wanted every ride in the park to be able to be ridden by everybody in a family, that was scrapped pretty quickly. Kind of bums me out because
That would have been interesting.
it would have
what
been
you know
really
about, yeah.
interesting. So it was changed over to a dark ride, which John is like anything. Like it would be a slow moving ride that would take you through various show scenes.
Got it.
So Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, Snow White, Little Mermaid, they have
Right.
all these things now.
And you're in like a cave and
Haunted-
you're seeing
Haunted-
things.
Haunted,
Yeah,
It's a dark ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Haunted Mansion is the same way.
Haunted Mansion is a dark ride for sure. Pirates of the Caribbean is a dark ride, boat ride. So it was loosely based on the 1949 film, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, though none of the locations in the ride are seen in the movie ever. None of the locations are from the original book, Wind in the Willows. The ride itself was originally constructed in kind of a circus style, like tent theme, carrying through the Walt's desire to have shit look like a fucking circus. But it would get changed into the iconic looking Toad Hall that you would probably recognize now in 1982.
Toad.
Toad Hall. Mr. Toad.
Just go back to Joe
Mr.
Kay's.
Dizzy,
Go
you
back
ever
to
fuck with
go
the
back
toad?
to Joe Kay's old episode to get that.
Oh yeah. I'm so excited we get to say Toad a whole bunch here too. Like
know.
even writing this down, it was like, oh, we're gonna get to say Toad a whole bunch. It's gonna be a great callback. So guests would board a buggy named after one of the characters from Wind in the Willows. Like it's like Horsey, Moley, whatever the fuck their names were, Badger.
Yeah.
And so they would be taken on an adventure through Toad Hall, the town center, Winky's pub, a swamp, a room full of explosives, a chase with the cops, a courtroom, and maybe the most two controversial scenes in any ride ever. They get hit by a train and end up in hell.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you go to hell.
Yeah.
Still?
Still. The Hell Room featured jumping imps. The same judge from the courtroom would judge you as the devil. And there would be a giant green dragon that would blow smoke on you.
Wow.
Yeah. Which I love the entire implication of the ride, because the implication, especially if you've seen The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, he's like driving drunk. That's like the concept is that Mr. Toad is fucking gacked out of his mind. Like uncontrollably driving a car all around the countryside. That's like the movie. So in this
That's
series,
how
you get in a car,
the ride
you
is
drive
wild
drunk,
because-
you literally
Yeah,
go
he's
through
fucked
a
up.
fucking pub. You're
Winkies.
driving
Yeah,
drunk,
sponsored by Matt.
Hey, Winky, I'll have one for the road, pal.
and like there's a where it's like a train's coming at you, and then it goes dark, and then you're in hell.
Is it a drunk driving PSA? General, like, is that
It
what?
could have. I
mean,
could not
no.
find any record of it being that.
No, 'cause back then, man,
Everybody was doing it.
Still
Yeah.
doing it.
Everybody
You
was
could
doing it.
still. They
Yeah.
have a couple of drinks
But also,
and drive.
I just want to say real quick, and I don't want to derail, but
no, not at all.
there's a thing I think about when you talk about going to hell at the end of it. I think Disney was kind of leaning into a little bit of the fairy tale thing, where like dark things happen in fairy tales. So
Yeah.
like it was still considered for kids.
Yeah.
I mean, it worked
you have to
with-
break gently these things to kids
I mean,
through fairy tales.
even
I mean,
Stuff-
there's scary
still-
stuff in a lot of the classic Disney stuff.
across the walkway from Mr. Toad's Wild Ride would be Snow White's scary adventures, like
Right.
Pinocchio's daring journey, like these, and they would take them through the whole story of the film. You know, like
That's so cool.
Especially the early Disney stuff has scary elements to it.
incredibly
and they're
scary.
definitely I mean, Pinocchio has some horrific shit in it.
I mean, it still kind of makes me upset when
Fantasia's
like the
scary.
kid turns into the donkey and
That's
he's just
just- that
crying
fucks
for
me
his
up.
mom.
That fucks me
He's
up.
just like, Mama, Mama. I'm
Their
like, oh my
faces
God,
turn
that's
into
like
donkeys.
really upsetting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's genuinely upsetting. This ride would also open up in the Magic Kingdom in Florida, and would last. That's where I had originally ridden this as a kid. But sadly, they closed it in the mid 2000s to like huge backlash.
Wow.
From like
The Mr. Toad's?
Mr. Toad's Wild Ride in Florida has been gone for.
Oh, they permanently closed it.
In Florida, it got
if-
replaced by the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh in Florida. It's still here.
Got
We
it.
still have
Modern.
it. That's one of the things that like we still like. We can really lord over the Florida parks is we still have fucking Mr. Toad. So fuck
Nice.
you. Our park's better.
Wow.
So
and you do believe it's better, completely.
Than
yes.
Disney World.
It's two completely different things. Like
I've never-
Disneyland is a one-day affair. Like it is, you know, as a one-day amusement park, nothing can beat Disneyland. As a whole vacation experience, I mean, Disney World is bar none.
Yeah.
Like you have 4 parks, 2 water parks, hundreds of restaurants you can go and try. There's the shopping area with like shows. They have a Cirque du Soleil there.
Oh my God.
And, yeah, which by the way, they're redoing a new Cirque show down there that's going to be like the history of Disney animation told through Cirque du Soleil.
Holy shit.
Wow.
Dying to see that
Wow.
when we eventually get to do that again.
And then we were racist for a minute.
Yeah.
But this guy's floating.
We had weird depictions of Native Americans and Asian people for a really long time. The outrage in Florida, in fact, it was so huge that it actually made many local news stations. Like
Wow.
a lot of local news stations were reporting on it. Mr. Toad's Wild Ride is still operating at Disneyland to this day and remains one of the park's truly most popular attractions, despite it being a ride about drunk driving, running from the cops,
And going to hell.
getting
And eternal
dying
damnation.
and being sentenced to an eternity of
It's
hellfire.
amazing.
That is incredible. I had no idea.
So that's the weirdness of the opening day of Disneyland. Did you want to?
Let's take a quick break and we'll come back. And we're back.
Ooh, we are back.
No,
and
let's say we never left.
Where are you
we're-
taking us next, man?
where am I taking? We're gonna take a trip to Florida now.
Florida!
We're gonna be talking about Florida for a while now. So where we left off, just like a little brief, like in between. So obviously the park, Disneyland, had massive success. People were obsessed with it from jump. People loved it. It made massive amounts of money. And they were able to start looking at plans to open up another park. Originally, they just wanted to do like, let's just take Disneyland, fucking take everything about it and just fucking stick it in Florida, the exact same fucking park, which they did. The Magic Kingdom, which opened in 1971. Through, by the way, like this, I could have literally came in here and done a whole fucking episode about the shady land dealings that were made.
I'm doing a research for a profile about just Florida's shady land dealings in general.
So you're going to definitely come across the Reedy Creek Land Company when
Yeah.
you're looking at some of these things. So basically, like the briefest way I could explain it is Walt Disney and the company basically created a separate company to buy land in Florida so that no one would know that they were building another Disney park
Adult
because they were able to get the land for super cheap. Like it was just Florida swampland at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Like it was like pennies to be
Yeah.
bought. But
Just the gators.
if they had any whiff that this was, the massively successful
would've charged them
Disney
out the ass.
corporation is
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
for land down here.
Oh, it's Jeff. It's just some guy named Jeff.
So anyway, so I honestly, I really should have gotten the numbers for like the amount of thousands of acres that were purchased down there. I just know it was enough land to warrant, I think, like 3 different zip codes and having establishing the city of Lake Buena Vista, Florida, like to accommodate the amount of land that they bought. So obviously the Magic Kingdom opens, huge fucking success. It's exactly what everybody wants. It's Disneyland on the other coast.
Now, is it Lake Buena Vista? They created this city
Yeah.
and they named it Lake Buena Vista. Is that because Disney is on Buena Vista Street? In Burbank?
Probably, yeah. That got to be why.
Yeah.
Like, it has to be.
But it also helps so much with the branding of Florida as California on the East Coast, which is always what they've gone for.
And it's
Yeah.
so wrong.
Disney, it's totally incorrect.
And also, bear in mind, nothing that you think of Orlando today existed at the time. Like, there's no Universal, there's no SeaWorld.
Yeah, yeah.
No
There's no
None of these
magic.
things. There's nothing there. So this was like a huge thing to boost the tourism of Florida. Obviously opened up to massive success to where they started talking about doing a second gate. And when I say a second gate, that means a second park. There's now what we would in theme park world say in Florida, there are 4 main gates and 2 water parks. The 4 main gates that are down there are Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Hollywood Studios, and Animal Kingdom are the 4 that are down.
And then
in
what are the
Florida.
water parks?
They're called Typhoon Lagoon and Blizzard Beach, which is
Blizzard
maybe the most
Beach.
excellently themed water park in the country.
Now, what's the theme? Snow?
Exactly. It's the concept is it was a ski lodge resort that got like hit, no, was it? It's one of two ways. It's either a ski lodge that got hit by like a freak heat wave, or it was a normally like warm place that got hit with a freak blizzard. So everything around, it's like snow capped everything around. It's like, it looks like a ski lodge.
There's
like
some kind of
Aspen
Kumquat
ski
tsunami
town.
there. or
Yeah.
something.
It's
Oh God.
hilarious.
Yeah.
The mascot out front is literally a melting snowman.
Yeah.
It's kind of hilarious.
That's really
Become sharded.
But the thing I want to talk about is specifically I want to get into Epcot, because Epcot was it was dedicated to the celebration of human achievement, namely technology, innovations in technology.
This show is dedicated to human achievement.
Absolutely. And it was also dedicated to international culture and is often referred to over the years as the permanent World's Fair. The original idea for Epcot was
Damn, that's a
conceived...
brilliant idea.
Right?
Yeah.
It was originally conceived by Walt Disney as the experimental prototype city of tomorrow. That's what Epcot stands for. It
Wow.
first was planned to be a complete community that would include urban city center, residential areas, industrial areas, schools, and a series of mass transit that would
Coal
connect the
mines.
community. Monorails and people movers was the two, which I essentially like a people mover. It used to exist out here. The people mover, it still exists in Florida. It's pretty much what it's at. It's basically
A
like
tram.
an open air tram.
Okay.
Essentially.
And so when I think of Epcot, I think of the Dome. But Epcot is beyond that? Or is,
well beyond that.
oh, really?
By the way, I
Epcot's
just want the dome, the big golf ball, as it's been known, is the term for it is a geodesic sphere. And actually, really, just a tiny little fun fact about that: the way it's built, it's able to catch the rainwater and run it off, like in like the way that all these like triangular grooves. It's able to take the water and divert it away from falling onto guests. And
So it kind of runs down the.
it like kind of runs down like over to the sides and
Cool.
it's like kind of flows over to a designated area where the rain could.
And that's a
not-
ride in itself.
It is.
Yeah.
Wow.
So after Walt's death in 1966, the Epcot concept was all but abandoned, as the company had the uncertainty about like how could we do this without this man's brain behind it. Like this is all
Well, his brain's
up
in-
there.
it's in
There's
a
actually a
vat.
really cool like TV special you can go and watch. You can probably find it on YouTube from the TV show The Wonderful World of Disney, where it was Walt being like, "This is my plans for
Right.
the perfect city that it's the city of tomorrow." Excuse me. So I'm going to be referring to this. There was WED Enterprises, which was created by Disney, Walter Elias Disney Enterprises, WED, as the Imagineering, basically. They were the designated parks department of the Disney Corporation. So WED Enterprises began developing the idea for a second theme park for the resort to supplement for Magic Kingdom as that park's popularity grew. And the new park maintained the idea of showcasing like modern achievements and innovation through avant-garde edutainment attractions.
Could you did you say that Magic Kingdom opened in 71?
71.
So Magic Kingdom even opened after Walt died.
Yes, but like that's why really Magic Kingdom just ended up being a carbon copy of Disneyland,
Right.
just bigger with more space to put shit.
Yeah.
Because they were like, what do
blueprint's
we
there.
What do we do with Walt gone?
Yeah.
Oh, well, let's just take the success of
Well,
what
they
we had
should
before.
have asked, the last written words of Walt Disney.
What were the last written words?
Kurt Russell.
That's right. That is right.
And
yes.
Kurt Russell was the child actor in Disney movies that Walt was like, he's not intimidated by me, and I can find the real opinions of children when I speak to him. So he would talk to him, like consult him, and it's this bizarre thing I love where he's almost the Charlie to Wonka for Disney. You know what I mean?
He was in so many things, so
And then-
young.
I mean,
and
and-
then he's Ego, the living planet.
Well, his return to Disney was sky high. Like that was kind of like him coming back to the
Oh, the
fold.
superhero high school thing.
Severely underrated movie. It is a travesty that thing didn't get 3. It was supposed to be a trilogy, and it is a travesty that it never got to see its full life. I would truly have a fucking heart attack if they're like, oh, by the way, we're gonna make Sky High 2 and 3. I would fully fucking freak out because I love Sky High.
They should do 21 Jump Street Sky High.
Yeah.
Where
Cool.
They
That'd be cool.
Pretend to be.
I get it. I get what you're. I smell what you're stepping in.
Thank you.
Or with Method Man.
Oh, yeah.
Sky How High.
Yeah.
Right?
How's Sky High?
Aside from the edutainment attractions, there would be the addition of a World Nations exposition there as well. The newly designed park featured 2 sections, the Future World and World Showcase, opening as Epcot Center in 1982. Like I said, after Walt's death, Walt Disney Productions decided that it did not want to be in the business of running a city without Walt's guidance. So the model community of Celebration, Florida is based on the concepts of the idea of what Epcot was supposed to be.
Celebration kind of runs it. They have it's like their own.
It's their own everything,
Yeah.
like their own school system, their stores, fire department.
But then, and they also have this very Floridian thing of take in your trash cans immediately. Like they're
Right.
very strict
It's
about the way people live there.
Right.
Housing rules, what are those called? The
HOA.
HOA.
Yeah, but it's like it's
Yeah, it's much.
Yeah.
It's
You don't
like
wanna live there.
militant.
Also,
Yeah.
bear in mind, most of the people that live in Celebration are employees of the Disney
Yeah, okay,
parks.
that makes sense.
Like,
That is a trip.
yeah, like these, like I follow a couple of people that like work in the stunt shows down there, and they live in Celebration.
Wow.
So,
and everything is fine.
and everything is fine. So where was I?
I like to think that I live in
This is all
Celebration.
land deal
I have
shit.
a little celebration in my mind.
Sorry.
They iron the flags and stuff.
Wow.
It's kind of that kind of thing. I think one of our friends lived. He worked at Disney in Florida. Adam.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think he lived in Celebration, but he did live. We'll have to ask him, but he did live in some sort of cast housing out there.
Ah.
And the rules were very strict.
Really?
And somebody narked on him for smoking a joint and he got kicked out.
Yeah. No shit.
So we have so much. I'm,
Okay,
sorry, I'm
please,
jumping
I'm
right
sorry.
back
No,
in.
jump in.
I lost my place, but I'm good now. So like I said, the idea of Epcot was kind of seen out through Celebration, but it kind of like abandoned the futurist, like it's the city of tomorrow. It literally just looks like an idyllic town.
So they split his idea up into the center and then to the town.
Into the town. But the idea of Epcot was instrumental in prompting the state of Florida to create the Reedy Creek Improvement District and 2 cities of Bay Lake and Reedy Creek that is now known as Lake Buena Vista. It was a legislative mechanism that allowed Disney to have complete government control over Walt Disney World. It sounds completely terrifying because it is. So because the idea of Epcot itself was never fully implemented, Disney remained the sole landowner of the districts, allowing it to maintain control of the Reedy Creek Industrial Improvement District, and the cities of Bay Lake and Lake Buena Vista. And Disney further cemented this control by de-annexing Celebration from the Reedy Creek Improvement District. Now we're back to the fun, I promise. That was all land deal shit that I just needed to get out of the way.
Deals?
So do they have their own mayor?
I don't know.
But they-
I need to look more into the
That's something that's
enigma
Patreon.
that is
We'll do it on Patreon.
Celebration.
We'll do it on
Probably,
Patreon.
Yeah,
they probably have a hoss.
A hoss.
They do. They do.
So the park consisted of the 2 main areas, each divided into multiple pavilions, the Future World and World Showcase. The World Showcase would feature pavilions based on 11 different countries from around the world, including Mexico, Norway, China, Germany, Italy, the US, Japan, Morocco, France, the UK, and Canada, each celebrating the cultures of their respective nations. One cool thing about the World Showcase that they still do to this day is everyone who's employed in the various different countries are from these countries of origin.
That's cool.
So
Morocco.
that are there to obviously work and do whatever, but also are really good at like educating guests if they have any questions.
And is it
about
still just 11?
Still just 11.
Okay.
There was always talk for there to be a Brazil pavilion.
Yeah.
A Brazil pavilion
No shit.
was something that was always on the
But
table.
definitely not Israel.
That's exactly right, Aaron. That's exactly right. They were also going to do a pavilion that was just the broad term Africa.
Oh God. No, that's good.
I'm not kidding.
That's really good.
Oh,
It's still sort
really
of
fucked up.
exists because now
That's really fucked up.
there's an in between pavilion that's called the African Outpost. That is just like a gift
Just a
stand.
tent.
But actually, that idea of that pavilion actually got to be seen through in Animal Kingdom. But down there, wait, before you freak out, down there, they have Asia, Africa, like it's split into continents rather than countries.
Okay.
So
Got it.
But I was gonna say I know how bad that was gonna sound, but I was like, wait. It's actually stunning
Well done,
and gorgeous.
sure,
Like I mean,
sure.
it is gorgeous section. And over in Future World, Epcot debuted with 6 original pavilions: Spaceship Earth, which is the golf ball, a ride and exhibit that would take guests on the history of communication in the world. From
love that.
from smoke signals up to
Rumor.
Which is the
got
medium.
Which is the medium.
There was Communicore, which would house rotating exhibits on cutting edge technology, Imagination, The Land, Universe of Energy, and the World of Motion. The Horizons Pavilion was added the following year in 1983, The Living Seas in 1986, The Wonders of Life in 1989, which was a health and wellness pavilion.
Wow.
So each pavilion was sponsored by a different corporation, which severely helped in the funding of construction.
Well, that seems to be like the modus operandi of all of this.
Yeah.
I don't know, is that the right phrase? Is just like you get these corporations to pay for these exhibits.
Because we have to all just remember that Disney was not this multi-billion-dollar corporation
Yes,
that we know it to be now. Like nowadays, they don't need these corporate sponsors. in
They
these
own
parks.
them all.
They own them all.
And the very interesting thing too is that with this guy that just stepped down from Disney, and then
Took it back.
It was. Did he take it back?
Yeah.
But they elevated in the meantime the guy from the parks division.
Yeah, Bob Iger, who I was at first really wary about that decision because he is very like corporate brained. And if you actually, besides the parks, which he's done some really cool things at, the only major moves he's made at the company in his tenure has been acquiring other properties, Lucasfilm, Simpsons, Marvel. Like these are all Bob Iger deals. So
they're important deals.
they were important
Yeah.
deals. I'm not discrediting any of them. I'm just like I was at first like,
How does this help the park?
how does this help the parks?
Yeah.
Right.
Because Michael Eisner, who we're going to talk about a lot in the rest of this, like he
He
gets
was
a
like
lot
25,
of
30
flack.
years of running.
He gets a bad rap at Disney, and I do not understand why, because he made some seriously bold and interesting, weird decisions. Because he saw the world taking in entertainment in different ways, and he was like, "Well, we just need to keep
Adapt.
moving forward.
Yeah.
We need to keep moving forward. We need to get." Not this place can't just be for kids and adults. We need to like start appealing to teenagers, which was a huge thing like of Eisner's tenure at Disney, was making the parks appealing to
Everyone.
between the ages, specifically because everything for kids and adults was already there. It was what are we going to do about like the 12 to 17
They can't just
crowd?
go smoke cigs. It's Coney Island.
Right, exactly. We have designated smoking areas for that.
Oh, we'll get into that later.
Yeah. Really, that's something that
Philip
I really
Morris
don't need.
Tobacco
I do not-
Indoor Pavilion.
You do not need to get me on a diatribe about the fact that there's no more smoking
Yeah,
areas in
yeah.
Disney parks.
Yeah.
I'm going to flip the fuck out. So, first and foremost,
Can you
before we
vape?
get into I know. First and foremost, before we get into like the absolute true weirdness, I just want to like bring up the Spaceship Earth again, like the design for it, the geodesic sphere, as well as the writing for the ride. The original script was designed by and written by Ray Bradbury.
Hey.
Whoa, really?
Which yeah. So the original
He was touched by a circus man.
Was he really?
Oh, yeah.
I did not know that.
Not physically.
Not like physically.
but maybe physically.
Oh,
No,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, I see.
Maybe
what
you
you're
hugged him.
Okay. So he helped write the original storyline, which was originally narrated by Vic Perrin, then Walter Cronkite in 1986.
No shit.
Jeremy Irons in 1994,
all right.
which was the one I remember growing up with. And currently, since 2007, Judi Dench.
Cool.
Wow.
No
rides.
Jeremy Irons.
I just wanted to bring that up because like I love the fact that Ray Bradbury
Yeah, it's
like
pretty
had a part in creating a
Absolutely.
Disney attraction.
Yeah,
totally.
So
He's
fucking
perfect
crazy.
for it.
Yeah.
So Communicore that I mentioned earlier was the hub of Epcot Center. This being the dawn of the modern computers, the emphasis of the pavilion was to educate guests on just that. The strangest of these exhibits was a little show called A Studer Computer Review. The show was to be in a large room that appeared to be a control station displaying some of the computer systems that would control Epcot, with the audience located on like an elevated platform looking down like through like glass window panels into this control room. The show was about 10 minutes long, and it featured cutting edge projection technology similar to something called Pepper's Ghost, which is used in the Haunted Mansion, which is to make the appearance that like an ethereal, like a ghost like figure can be
Wow.
like in a room with you. It's basically mirrors and lights.
The Haunted Mansion is really great.
I mean, it's truly, sidebar on that actually originally, the idea of that was like a house of curiosities
interesting.
that then evolved into what we know as the Haunted Mansion. This Pepper's Ghost technology was used to make a small 1 foot sized man dance across the computers in this control room.
Twin Peaks.
And through song and the show explained the daily functions of Epcot and how like everything is controlled by these computers, like the lights, the sounds, everything.
Even me, the tiny man.
Me. So for many guests in 1982, this very well could have been the very first time they ever saw a computer, like let alone something of this grand scale.
What year did you say?
82.
Wow. Yeah.
So we're talking about like the average American tourist going to Disney World in Florida. They don't know what a fucking like
Right.
a giant control room
And
computer
then they go back
looks
to
like.
bumfuck Arkansas, and they're like, "I saw a computer."
Yeah, the last thing they saw with the computer was probably Kurt Russell in the computer wore tennis shoes.
So the show also featured, like I said, it featured a great song written by Disney legends, the Sherman Brothers, who they wrote everything. They did all the like you know them
The
mostly.
song of the South.
March to the
You
South.
would know
What
them
makes the red man
mostly
red?
for writing all the music to Mary Poppins.
Hey.
Like that is maybe the most
really?
famous thing you would know them for. But
Are they
like,
weirdos? That sounds like a good Patreon.
Are they weird?
They're brothers and they wrote Disney songs.
Honestly, they could be a really interesting profile to look
Okay.
into. They could be because I mean they mostly wrote like theme park music
Yeah.
and they exclusively like would write for Disney.
And they were also their mother.
So these are the lyrics to the computer song from A Studer Computer Review. We're going to blow through these. You see, my friends, the computer makes life easier, saves me time and headaches too. He sorts things out and analyzes in a shake. My enormous problem to him's a piece of cake. He's got a great big memory like an elephant, utilizes knowledge without end. That's why I'm a rooter for me computer. Everybody needs a friend. Let me explain. To keep on top of accommodations, record and update reservations, coordinate telephone operations, and help plan energy conservation. There's really a great financial device. Payroll service is kept precise. They protect attendants and give advice on personnel, food, and merchandise.
Wow.
These keep on going.
Yeah, this is a Paul McCartney stole that for temporary secretary.
Absolutely did.
Oh wow, nice.
Kidding. We're fucking around. Me and you. So this show, it lasted until 1984 and was replaced by a similar but less musical show called Backstage Magic, which closed in 1993. Still hasn't been.
That's just a bad name. It doesn't sound interesting.
Yeah.
Backstage Magic.
Yeah, what are they? What's the backstage?
Casting couch shit.
Yeah. That's,
So speaking of weird shows, we're going to take a little walk over to the Imagination Pavilion.
Okay.
More popularly known for eventually housing the ride Journey into Imagination with Figment, the little purple dragon that you may have seen over the. I mean, you obviously.
There's
have no
always a
fucking
Kaiser pig for all these. It's great.
There's always a mascot.
Yeah.
But it started off housing a little show called Magic Journeys, a 3D film. So it was directed by Murray Lerner, who would go on to direct things like The Amazing Journey, The Story of the Who, Who, as well as filmed many live concerts from the Isle of Wight Festival, and specifically in 1970. Sets including Jimi Hendrix, Jethro Tull, Miles Davis, The Doors, Leonard Cohen, the Moody Blues, and Joni Mitchell.
Nice.
It also featured music written by the Sherman Brothers. Magic Journeys looked into the world through the eyes of a child. Now, I'm going to explain the scenes that would happen in this film.
Just means short person.
Truly insane. So the film started with children running through a meadow and looking at clouds. Someone blows on a dandelion and the seeds then flow away, turning into stars and then into the sun. Next, the kids were seen flying a kite at the beach. The kite then turned into a bird, a fish, and then a school of fish, a flock of birds, bird wings, a pegasus, a horse, and then finally into a merry-go-round. While the children rode the carousel, they began reaching for the brass rings spinning next to the carousel. The carousel spins around the moon and bats fly out past the riders.
Oh, this is when the acid trip goes
I
bad.
was gonna say. Yeah.
The moon becomes a witch, a mask, an Olmec head, and more until turning back into a cat. A boy reaches out to the cat, and then it turns into a sphinx, which then turns into a lion jumping through a hoop at the circus. Trapeze artists and acrobats fly through the air, and several clowns amuse the children.
Oh, boy.
Balloons rain down on the children as the camera pulls out to show the whole circus is a playset being observed by a child.
Oh my god. Dude, I was enthralled by that entire thing.
By the way,
Is there video?
there's still more. A, there's still more. B, you can watch this on YouTube.
Oh,
This is
hell
easily
yeah.
findable on YouTube.
Get
The boy then
We got shrooms.
I feel like I just did them.
So the child that's observing is in a house full of toys of the various things we've seen in the previous scenes. The boy then walks towards a galactic-looking light. A magician appears in front of the children and begins doing tricks. The magician then pulls the boy from out of his hat.
That's DMT right there, huh?
The boy then tumbles out of the hat and through the infinite abyss of space.
That's terrifying.
As he flows through the galaxy, we see it's all inside the eyes of the boy as we return to the scene of him blowing on the dandelion and the children run off into the meadow. The entire experience, including the pre-show, would run about 20 minutes long and ran until about 1986 when it was replaced by Captain EO, starring Michael Jackson.
What?
Which was...
You never saw Captain...
You don't know Captain EO.
You don't know Captain
okay,
EO.
wait. So Captain EO was written and directed by Francis Ford Coppola.
No.
And at the time was the most expensive movie ever to be shot for a theme park. And I think at a budget of like $20 or $30 million.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was the reason above any other
To go.
to go. I mean,
Captain
that's
EO's sick, man.
for me. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
after having gone the first time and saw Captain EO, I was like, and just later in life, I learned to appreciate it more. I'm like, oh,
They're saving a space queen played by Angelica Houston. It's
and it's 3D.
Wow.
It's incredible. And was also like one of the first things to incorporate the idea of like 4D technology.
Yeah,
of,
like the wind.
The chairs move.
Really?
Kind of would shake.
And what
like,
year is that?
That was 86.
And it went to like 99 or something.
And Captain EO was also eventually replaced once again by Honey, I Shrunk the Audience, which was it was
You get
Honey, I
it.
Shrunk the Kids. It's exactly what it sounds like.
No way.
That's why
It
someone
was-
punched Rick Moranis.
It's
last
Rick
night.
Moranis.
You
It's,
stole Captain EO.
What's his name? Wayne Zelinsky, I
Yeah,
think is his name. in
Wayne
that.
Zelinsky.
You're at like a science expo fair, and
He's coming
the
back.
shrink ray accidentally shrinks the audience.
Wait, that's the one in Florida.
That was in
Oh,
Florida.
I think I've done
Captain
that.
EO at Disneyland, I think, got replaced by something.
Well, now it's. I mean, for the longest time, it was like Star Wars: The Path of the Jedi,
Right.
and then like it came back after Jackson passed away in
and then
2009.
they took it away after that HBO documentary came out.
Right? No, it actually did. It was only supposed to be there for like a limited engagement to
Oh,
like
really?
celebrate. I mean, I'm talking about the when they brought it back.
Yeah, I
after
know,
he
I know.
died. It was only supposed to be there for like a few months
Right.
to be like, let's celebrate the life of Michael Jackson, and ended up staying around for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
It was
Wow.
like, people
It's
were
such a piece of
literally coming
ephemeral-
back
yeah.
to Disneyland to
Yeah.
be like, oh, Captain EO's here again. Oh my God, we got to see it.
Yeah,
It's kind of like Moonwalker. It's kind of one of those things.
Dude,
where,
I
like,
watched that a lot as a kid.
I know you did because it's got Joe
lot.
Pesci.
Yeah. Seriously.
Yeah, I would love to see Captain EO.
I gotta pee again.
Yeah,
I'm so
hey,
sorry.
hey,
Rip
do
for
it,
like
dude.
a hot
Dude,
second.
A hot break. And we're back.
Just the worst.
I had to take another piss.
Yeah. Hey,
I had to
man,
just
you
piss
gotta
everywhere.
do it.
You gotta pee. When you gotta piss, you gotta
Gotta give
piss.
the people what they want, man. We want that pee-pee.
That toilet wants that pee pee.
Give me that pee-pee.
Give me that pee pee. Hey,
It'll bet your tickets
look
off.
who's talking.
Yeah. We did a media of it.
Yeah.
That's right. You did. You did.
Bite your tuchus off. Mel Brooks.
So we're gonna go over to the next pavilion that was there.
Let's take a stroll over
in
there.
Epcot. Let's take a little
Let's
stroll.
get on a people mover.
Let's take a little stroll right over to the next door pavilion, the Land. The Land was a pavilion that was dedicated to the humans' interaction with Earth, focusing on agriculture. The pavilion was, of course, sponsored by Kraft and featured a boat ride that at the time was called Listen to the Land, now known as Living with the Land. The ride began with a stylized look at the growth of a plant, like from seed to like a gorgeous like art thing. And then guests would be taken on a boat through artificial biomes representing a rainforest, the desert, and the American prairie. And then the boat would give a tour of the large on-site outdoor greenhouse, hydroponics lab, and showing crops and animals cultivated for use at Epcot. Many of the plants grown in the greenhouse would actually be used in dishes at one of Epcot's many restaurants.
Wow.
And would eventually, when the Living Seas would open as a pavilion in '86, the fish that would be cultivated there were being served in the restaurant right
you
next
think
door.
the kids were horrified?
It was, I mean, maybe, but also, I mean, like, I always, even as a kid, found it like so cool and fascinating that they had this like,
Yeah, absolutely.
all of this was just being grown right here, and they're using it in the restaurants, like, and it's all been like it's all
Farm to table.
connected. It truly was like OG farm to table.
I think OG Farm Table.
It wasn't in a golf ball
you
that
know
could
what I
be
mean.
teed off to Mars.
You know what I mean? Oh, shut up! You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think OG Farm to Table was
Like the concept of we grew it and now it's in our restaurant.
Yeah,
A farm's not a restaurant, Aaron.
But you have a table.
Yeah, hey, you want a table? I'll get you a table.
I always like picking out the lobster
One
at Red Lobster. Like I want that one. I never got it.
The main restaurant that I want to like bring up that they would send like the crops and the stuff to was right upstairs of this ride. It was called The Good Turn, and it was a rotating restaurant that would like give guests a view of like some of the show scenes in the ride as well as the inside of the greenhouse. I ate there once. Fucking cool.
Yeah, that's always good. It really depends on where it is, though. I did that once in Montreal, and that was cool.
You
But
did what?
The
rotating restaurant.
It was like a tall tower in Montreal. It was like, oh, that's neat. But it depends on the city. It's not like Sheboygan, you know.
Sure.
It depends on how fast it's
God
rotating,
damn it.
too. You
It's
don't
your
wanna-
boy.
The ride also featured like a hell of a banger of a song called Listen to the Land. And I'm wondering if it's going to be able to get picked up by the sound here.
Yeah.
You can turn the mic towards it too.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't.
Or bring the laptop towards the mic. Yeah, there you go.
You'll grow to see
Yeah.
the sunshine on your day of birth. Let's listen to the land we all love. Nature's plan will shine above. Listen to the land. Listen to the land. Let's listen to the land we all love.
And
The
this is
good
John.
folks at Monsanto will spray it down.
I gotta
with-
say, I really do love that song a lot.
And that's John Prine and Mac Wiseman.
It's actually Robert Moline.
Okay.
John Prine, rest in peace. Also,
Learn that one for you. I knew you were gonna come and ask who sang that one. What weird obscure folk artist are you gonna bring up that I don't know? I'm gonna
John
be like, no,
Fahey.
it's this one.
There's not enough guitar enough for John Fahey.
That ride is still operating in Epcot to this day and remains one of like the early, like one of the only breaths of the true weirdness of Epcot. Like
Now they grow hydroponic
weird to
weed
just
and
like
shit.
fucking have a boat ride of like, here, let's take a tour of a greenhouse for 17 minutes.
It's pretty cool.
That is cool.
It's pretty fucking cool.
So
I think it's one of those things. It's important for just kids to see that.
It was like that's the thing, and what kind of why I grew up loving Epcot the most, and it feels like such a loser thing to be like. I loved the park where I learned so much,
Yeah.
while
Yeah,
for
also
sure.
getting to like ride rides.
Living in the
But
city.
also, you know, putting something in kids where it's just like, hey, you know, listen to the fucking land.
Yeah, it really
it's an environmentalist thing that we need more than ever. You know what
I mean, like they really and they do hammer home like in that ride that like we're living in a delicate
yeah.
balance of everything, and we need to put ourselves in check, which is like weird for a company like Disney to be putting out there, like especially when you think of who they are now.
Yeah.
But you know,
I mean, they are so big and have so much influence, and they had so much influence. Like I think now you're starting to see the generation that grew up with, like say Epcot.
Yeah,
they're starting to be in charge of shit. And so I think you're gonna see the generation of people that grew up with stuff like that kind of edutainment, or like the city of tomorrow and what the future could be stuff. You're gonna start seeing some of those things to come to fruition. Like you're gonna start seeing the buildings that are also gardens, and you're gonna start seeing more use of hydroponics and outside of the box thinking in the way we do agriculture. And that's not just because of fucking Disney, but I don't think it hurt.
No, definitely.
Sure, I think you're right.
Speaking of strange edutainment. The land also featured what may be one of the strangest shows that was ever in any Disney park, let alone Epcot. Not even just in a Disney park, in entertainment in general. This is one of the weirdest live shows that was ever conceived. Located right across the way, it was helmed by Imagineer Rolly Crump.
Rolly
Crump. Love that name. It was called Kitchen Cabaret. Kitchen Cabaret was a 13-minute audio animatronic show that sought to teach the audience about good nutrition and eating in moderation. 3 young Imagineers, Jeff Burke, a figure who had worked on the Country Bear Jamboree, he was a figure designer, Scott Hennessy, who wrote the script, and Steve Kirk, who was an illustrator and a figure creator. The show was definitely a product of the sponsor Kraft. At the time, good nutrition was broken down by the USDA into 4 food groups: fruits and vegetables, dairy, protein, and grains. This is pre-food pyramid.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the attraction was built around this concept. The show featured fully built animatronics of various food characters.
You rode around in a macaroni.
Really?
No.
Oh, okay.
It was just a show. It was just plain old audio. I like to say plain old audio animatronic show, but it's like giant size carton of fucking milk.
Yeah, this isn't your Chuck E. Cheese. It's macaroni and cheese.
So at the time of Epcot's opening, it was the only show that had like any semblance of what was offered over at the Magic Kingdom, like cartoonish audio animatronics. There was a main stage in the center with 2 smaller stages off to the side, with our main character, our host, whose name was Bonnie Appetit.
Yep.
Who she was a cartoonish woman who was not excited to plan another meal.
What?
What am I gonna
Another meal
do?
again?
How am I gonna eat?
That's so
But
good.
honestly, I kind of feel that.
I just want to vote.
Like you're hungry and you're like, oh, what the fuck am I gonna
gotta
make?
cook.
I gotta feed these
I gotta
fucking.
make something.
This is
So the main stage was set in Bonnie's kitchen.
our husband's kitchen.
The first song was sung by her, very like, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna eat? I hate you. The second song was sung by the kitchen crackpots, who they were pots and pans.
They're turning the frogs
No.
gay!
I'm sorry.
Black helicopters!
They weren't the pots and pans. The kitchen crackpots were the condiments, the various condiments that would sing, featuring Kraft brand packaging.
Of course.
So the group, where was it? It was like mayonnaise, barbecue sauce, mustard, and ketchup, I think, were the
Were
four.
they different races?
You know what's sad, Aaron? I wish I could tell you. I do not know.
What's sad
Well, I
is that
mean,
it might be possible they are.
Well, the barbecue sauce was from down here.
I'm the mayonnaise.
So next up would be the first of 4 main acts.
What makes the ketchup man red?
The first act
Anger.
The first act would be Mr. Dairy Good and the Stars of the Milky Way. Mr. Dairy Good was a milk carton, and his backup singers were women? Question mark?
Gender's fake.
Named Miss Cheese, Miss Yogurt, and Miss Ice Cream.
Well, gender is fluid.
The
so.
song was done in a very 30s style. So next up would be the cereal.
So blackface.
Oh, the milk.
Next up would be the Cereal Sisters, which were packaged goods, oats, wheat, and corn. and a loaf of bread that could shred on the trumpet.
Nice.
This is a line from Bonnie Appetit. This is my favorite line of the show. I'll get together with the toast of the town for a jam session.
Jesus Christ.
A jam
no,
session.
that's nice.
I mean, that's great. I
That's
mean,
nice.
you can't. We all want to kill ourselves when we hear puns, but like,
dude, I'm about it. I'm about it.
I love it.
All right, this is a jam.
Next up was ham and eggs.
Watch me for the eggs.
Next was ham and eggs. Exactly what it sounds like. It was a big fucking spiral ham hock and eggs.
Nice.
they would sing
That
a
checks
thing. The last song was the main song that if you saw the show would stick in your brain. It was called Veggie Veggie Fruit Fruit, and it was sung by the attraction's unofficial mascot, Mr. Broccoli.
Hell yeah, dude.
Finally, there was a medley of all the songs sung by everyone. At no point in the show did anyone tell Bonnie how to plan a meal, and at no point were any recipes given, but it was good fun.
That's why she's crazy.
There's no end to the story. It's the big.
Nestle took over in 1993 of
Fuck
the sponsorship of the pavilion, and some changes were made. Yeah, fuck them. For instance, the condiment crew, Mr. Mayonnaise was replaced with a tomato sauce, and the barbecue sauce with a salad dressing. No discernible reason
And
why.
they charge you for the water.
Your water.
Yeah.
So Kitchen Cabaret had switched over to their new show in 1994. This is the one I grew up with, called Food Rocks.
Yeah, in the future, you're all going to be eating food rocks.
Now, Food Rocks
Food is cool.
was basically themed around like a rock and roll benefit show about good nutrition.
okay.
Hosted by your favorite. His name is Food Rapper, voiced by Tone Loc.
Yo.
Yo, this fucking food is off the chain, bro.
Hey, welcome to the kitchen, man.
Yo, this
yo,
motherfucking
Saran Wrap.
nutrition is no joke.
It was supposed to be like a hipper version of the show, because like Kitchen Cabaret was very like, we're gonna do 30s, 40s, 50s, like old style kind of like cabaret act music.
So they brought like straight up gangster rap into the food, right?
Not quite. I really wish.
Tone Loc.
I know he's not.
So
but
this only opened 2 months after Kitchen Cabaret closed. So they had a massively quick turnaround on this. And it would, I mean, if that time frame gives you anything, that gives you an indication of the quality of this show.
Right.
It was not good.
I see.
Yeah. So, okay. So like I was saying, Food Rocks had replaced Kitchen Cabaret. Was supposed to kind of be like a more hipper version of it, but only opened 2 months after it closed. The show itself featured 12 songs in under 12 minutes.
Ooh,
Nice.
So
it's like a punk record.
Grindcore.
it's like
the
a Tone Loc album.
The show would be interrupted throughout by Excess, a junk food heavy metal band that hated good nutrition.
That's pretty cool.
The songs were still about nutrition, but were now based on popular songs by actual bands. The fake bands included the Peach Boys, Chubby Cheddar, and the Refrigerator Police.
Nice.
and none of these are hip artists.
I mean,
Chubby Checker.
The Beach Boys, Chubby Checker, and the Police, those are pretty...
For 1994?
No, 886.
You said the Food
no,
Rocks?
wait. Yes, you're right, 94.
94.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, well, whatever.
It's fine.
It's
It's
good.
one of those things of like, it's supposed to be for everyone.
everybody.
That's right.
Chubby Checkers for your mom. The Police is for your dad. The Peach Boys are for your dad.
I wish he was.
So anyway, then there was
was
also the
Police.
Utensils, and they would sing a parody of Bohemian Rhapsody. And the last act would be performed by, this is my favorite one, the Get to the Point Sisters.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
The finale again was the parody of Bohemian Rhapsody sung by the whole cast. That show lasted another 10 whole years in the park and closed in 2004.
Wow.
It was replaced by Soarin' Around the World, which is a simulator ride where you're supposed to feel like you're in a hang glider, like very serenely flying around the world. It's actually really nice.
that
It's
sounds
really
dope.
pretty. We have one over here. It used to be Soarin' over California. Now it's Soarin' Around the World.
Wow.
But we'll get there.
Oh yeah, actually, that's a fucking great ride.
Yeah, Soarin's an incredible ride.
My friend Dana said, make that the last thing you do, because that's a perfect way to end an entire.
Really?
trip.
It's truly like, it's something where you're just like, it's so simple in its concept. You're in a row.
Yeah.
There's a giant screen that's like almost like completely surrounding you. takes you out into the middle of this kind of like spherical screen.
And you're in the air. Your row is picked up, and you're
hang gliding. You're essentially hang gliding. And it's like you would think it would be terrifying, but it's like so calming.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really nice.
So the next thing we're going to talk about is the Universe of Energy, sponsored by Exxon.
Perfect. It's all of the worst companies because they have the most money.
Yeah.
But also, this was like at a time when it was coming out that, better living through chemistry and like and responsible corporate governance was like the thing.
That shit was the tea. Like it was exact. Yeah.
And now what year would this be?
This Universe of Energy opened with the park.
Oh, okay.
in
Okay.
71,
82.
80. Disney World, the Magic Kingdom,
Magic
71.
Kingdom 71, Epcot's 82.
Got it.
So the Universe of Energy took an in-depth look into how energy was created, used, and destroyed. Originally, it was to only focus on solar.
Well, energy can never be created or destroyed. That's E equals MC squared.
Right, but their narrative was not that. It was.
Well, yeah.
You got to buy it from us, pal.
Originally, it was only supposed to be focused on solar energy, with a large solar energy conductor in the center of the pavilion that would be surrounded by the ride,
And then Exxon.
and a walk-through attraction.
Wow.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Aaron. It was deemed too expensive, though, and was scrapped. That's when Exxon came in to sponsor.
No fucking way.
Of course.
If that's not
So the focus had then broadened
Emblematic.
into all types of energy. The building's roof did feature 80,000 solar panels that provided partial power to the attraction, approximately like 15%.
Hey.
So it's something.
Sure.
So guests were guided by giant battery-powered moving theater cars that were guided by wires. So essentially you would start off in like a giant theater, and then after like a film, the thing would split into 3 cars and then would move through the ride.
Some of the magic of these things is it's stuff like that where your world is kind of splitting apart.
Yeah.
It's the engineering.
Yeah.
This was, at the time of opening, the longest ride in anywhere on Disney property, anywhere around the world. It was 45 minutes long.
no shit. You can there's a lot of this stuff that you see that as you're telling me stuff, like when they're looking at the computer room with the computer and the little computer guy walking across stuff, and then this with like the theater car. A lot of this gets used in Jurassic Park, the movie.
Oh, for sure.
yeah.
When they're getting the tour of Jurassic Park and they're there, you have the,
Oh, for
I'm
sure.
the DNA guy. And
You
I'm
can
the,
actually
Absolutely.
feel a lot of like inspiration,
Nice.
like from Epcot, and the idea of like edutainment through history. And it's very funny that you mention Jurassic Park, because after the pre-show, which would be about like 8 minutes long, and was directed by Emil Radok, who was the co-inventor of the multimedia show Lanterna Magica, which was the star attraction of the Czechoslovakia Pavilion in Expo 67,
we
which
know.
is the World's Fair in Montreal.
Yeah.
So the pre-show, the first film you'd see was known as the Kinetic Mosaic. It was a film that showed how mankind would harness the different kinds of energy, and it would be displayed on 100 rotating prism-shaped flip screens that would be like moving and rotating to create like exactly what it is, the kinetic mosaic. So then after the pre-show, guests would then get into their large theater cars. The cars would rotate 180 degrees to sit in front of 3 large movie screens. The film then would show a hand-animated short about the beginning of life on Earth and the origin of fossil fuels. The car would then rotate again to face a large curtain that would rise up to show a life-size diorama of prehistoric times. The theater would then break into 6 cars and take guests into the diorama of the dinosaurs and prehistoric times. And this bit would last about like 7 minutes. Afterwards, they would reassemble into theater formation in a second theater. The next film was 12 minutes long and showed an in-depth look at the current and future energy sources from around the world. Afterwards, the screens would rise up and cars would travel beneath these giant movie screens to the theater where they had started. They were then showed a final 2-minute computer animated film showing colorful laser-like imagery of the ways we've benefited from different kinds of energy. All in all, though, as boring as this ride could have been, it was a great way to get out of the Florida heat. I mean, it's 45 minutes long, 45 minutes of uninterrupted air conditioning.
Pure oil-based air conditioning. That's
So-
great.
Courtesy the good folks of Exeter.
I never got to
Exa.
experience the universe of energy. What I did get to experience was its replacement in 1996. This got an insane refurb. So the popularity of this ride had gone down, and guests were complaining that the tone of the ride was like way too serious. So what did Disney do? They decided to bring in the comedic tones with none other than
Gilbert Godfrey.
Ellen DeGeneres
No way.
and Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Wow.
And now would be known as Ellen's Energy Adventure. So the new version of the attraction featured all new films but kept the giant dinosaur diorama because, like, come on now.
Yeah.
Before entering the actual ride, guests would watch an 8-minute pre-show in which Ellen would fall asleep and then dream that she was on the show Jeopardy, playing against her old rival Jamie Lee Curtis and Albert Einstein. But all the questions were about energy.
You're shitting me.
Jamie Lee Curtis
When I
and
tell you,
Albert
John,
Einstein.
I've experienced this multiple times in my life. I am 100% not fucking around in any capacity
Her
with
nemesis
this.
is Jamie Lee Curtis.
Her nemesis
Jamie
is
Lee
Jamie Lee
Curtis
Curtis.
is so much better than Ellen.
Why?
Yeah, we all know that.
But wait,
this is 1996,
Okay.
and Ellen, she'd barely said, "I'm gay."
I know,
Like,
yeah. She was riding high, let's be real.
This is
And
like the height of like
also Ellen was riding high until 3 weeks ago. So you know what I mean? She was on top of the fucking world.
Jamie Lee Curtis doesn't need to ride high.
But Jamie Lee Curtis, why was that her nemesis?
I
was a-
don't know.
she was
But they just
available.
played it that way?
The short hair.
They just played it that Jamie Lee Curtis is her worst fucking enemy, knows everything, and
That's so
and
cool.
Ellen knows nothing.
That is so cool.
Because Jamie Lee Curtis seems wonderful and lovely,
And I guess
everybody
because she's
likes
like
her.
a science
Get it.
fiction.
You like Jamie Lee Curtis.
She's amazing.
I mean,
love
she's also
Jamie
maybe,
Lee.
I guess, because she's like a science fiction heroine. You know,
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
famously Ellen Ripley, but, you know, we all,
No.
No, you're saying
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie
No,
Lee Curtis
Sigourney
is
Weaver.
Halloween. Sigourney Weaver. I got them mixed up.
Is Sigourney
Sorry.
Weaver the one that's in it?
No, it's
No,
Jamie Lee
oh,
Curtis.
okay,
It is Jamie Lee
Trading
Curtis. I just
Places,
got them
a fish
completely
called
mixed up.
Jamie Lee
Wanda.
Curtis, I think in '96 was in The True Lies.
Yeah. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, nice.
That's probably
So
part
yeah,
of the
so
contract.
since Ellen doesn't know shit about energy, she quickly falls behind at the end of round one, and that's when Bill Nye the Science Guy walks in, literally just like, he's like, "Hi, Ellen," just like walks into like
No
a set
way.
of like
Classic
like you
writing.
do.
Yeah.
And he starts talking over Albert Einstein, of course.
Right. Well, why would Albert Einstein teach her anything? They're playing against each other. So you
True.
need to get another
You're
science
right,
guy
you're
in
right.
there.
Yeah, he's not a coach.
This is cheating.
So he comes in to teach Ellen all about energy. We then go along with her for her journey. Guests then boarded the same ride vehicles that I was describing before, the moving theater. The first film on the ride was a 4-minute computer animated film in which Bill Nye takes Ellen back billions of years to witness the Big Bang, and they end up in prehistoric times. To show her the origin of fossil fuels. The cars would then rotate, go into the giant diorama, but this time featured an audio animatronic of Ellen fighting off a dinosaur.
Nice.
What?
Yeah.
What dinosaur? Like,
I think it was like a raptor, or it was like something. So she has like a spear, and she's like, like
Checkmate, atheist.
the cars. God damn it. The second theater, they would see the next film. This time it was a 12-minute live action film on the giant wraparound screens with Bill Nye and Ellen in a helicopter taking an in-depth look at the current various states of how we're getting energy in this country and around the world.
soon we're gonna frack.
The cars would then go back into the first theater where the final film was shown. This time it was the final 2-minute segment, which shows Ellen winning Jeopardy with her newfound knowledge of energy.
Fuck that.
Is Alex Trebek?
Alex Trebek is
He's in it?
yes,
In the house.
100%.
Hell yeah.
No one gives credit to Jamie Lee Curtis for just being cool.
Will you chill?
So
Nobody
this
even
ride,
mentions Alex Trebek.
so shockingly enough, this ride lasted until 2014.
Wow.
Nice.
When the Ellen animatronic was removed, then the ride would
'Cause it
officially
was
be
too
closed
aggressive.
in 2017. Now, the best part of all of this is that what was to be on the final run of the ride, it actually malfunctioned and broke down, resulting in guests being evacuated from the attraction. But
Ellen's
this was
losing it.
actually incredible because what they did is turned up all the lights and allowed guests to just walk and take as many pictures as they wanted.
Oh, that's
considering it was supposed to be the very last run of this ride ever. It was literally guests
Yeah.
had free
it's-
reign to walk the track and take as many pictures as
That's
they
pretty cool.
wanted.
I was on Space Mountain one time when it got stuck and they turned
So
all the
cool.
lights on.
Yeah, me too.
And it's fucking
Haunting.
I feel
when
like
you
they
see
did that on purpose. So now everybody seems like everybody's
Everyone's
done
done it.
When you see just actually how close you are.
Dude. Do not put your hands up.
Do not put your hands up on Space Mountain.
Really?
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah, you can,
Not
but don't
you
reach out.
can, but like if you're over like 6'2", I wouldn't advise it.
Wow.
They redid Space Mountain 2 a few years ago. Not a few,
Well,
but like
sort of, but not really.
just added more
gave
lights and
cosmetic changes. They
Yeah.
turned it into Hyperspace Mountain, themed it after
right.
Star Wars for like a hot minute.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And every Halloween they change it to Ghost Galaxy.
is Space Mountain the one where they have FedEx stuff? Or is FedEx in Star Tours? I always remember there being FedEx shit.
I
how
would
come they haven't- how come-
assume it would be Star Tours.
Yeah, it's probably Star Tours.
How come they haven't done a cube themed ride?
Or Hypercube.
So the next thing I want to go into over here in Epcot, this is wild. I want to talk about that health and wellness pavilion, the Wonders of Life, sponsored by MetLife. So
The Health and Wellness Pavilion sponsored by an insurance company.
Yeah.
so now many
Also
of the
bringing you the
pavilions.
Met.
Kaiser does a pig and aluminum
So many of the
insurance.
Go, let him do
Many
it.
of the pavilions in Epcot were refurbished or torn down as a whole in order to house a new attraction. But one Epcot pavilion would close, never be replaced, and just sit there as an empty shell until this day. So the Health and Wellness Pavilion was always in the plans for Epcot from the very beginning, but the early days a sponsor couldn't be found. Concept art as early as 1978 would show plans for what the pavilion was supposed to be, and it was supposed to feature an omni-mover attraction, which again is like a people mover kind of a vehicle that would be called the Great Journey Within. That would take guests on a tour of the human body on red blood cell vehicles, through oversized displays of different organs. But this was never fully actualized. The original name of the pavilion was called the Human Dynamic, but in 1987, when MetLife came on as a sponsor, it would be known as the Wonders of Life. Construction began in early 88, 6 years after the opening of Epcot, and would open the following year in 1989 with a dedication from the current CEO, Michael Eisner. And Michael Eisner, we're going to get further into his insanity because I love this man. I really do. So this was the last Epcot pavilion to be built from scratch without replacing anything. At a rumored budget of $100 million, it was at the time the most expensive pavilion in the park, which says something because the most impressive pavilion in the park was pretty much, it was known as the building Horizons, was the most impressive thing there, and it was only $60 million.
Wow.
So from opening day, outside of the pavilion, you would be greeted with a 72-foot model of a DNA strand. Cool look. It was super fucking cool.
Was
looking.
it like a physical?
Not a statue of a DNA
Cool.
DNA strand. The pavilion itself was 100,000 square foot dome with a glass paneled ceiling to give it a light and airy feel. It featured a giant mobile sculpture on the ceiling with multiple blue and purple glass discs that would occasionally collide and create a massive bang throughout the pavilion.
Ooh.
Don't understand why. That feels like a design flaw, but just like here, every like 9.5 minutes, just bong, terrifying 5-year-olds, just whatever.
That's how the heart works.
Most of the other pavilions in Epcot, it didn't just feature one thing, but multiple rides, multiple shows. These included the Sensory Funhouse, which would feature multiple interactive exhibits focusing on 3 of the human senses: touch, sight, and sound. There was the Wonder Cycles, which were stationary bikes with screens that you could ride through virtual courses of Disneyland, the 100th Anniversary Rose Parade, and the Micro Course, which I never did because who the fuck does the Micro Course when you can ride through Disneyland? Fucking get out of here.
What's the micro course?
I don't know because I never did it. I've done the
something real
Wonder
cool.
Cycles. I've been on the Wonder Cycles in my life, but every single time I was like, yeah, I want to see what Disneyland looks like.
Yeah.
The 2 main rides were called Cranium Command and Body Wars. These are
Body Wars.
Cranium Command. This attraction was the only surviving element of the 1978 plans. This is like what you could consider like that tour through the human body, like got split up into these 2 rides. Designed again by the Imagineer Raleigh Crump, coming up again.
Nice.
This was basically like, okay, how do I explain it? Like, let me find, I'm just got to skip through some of this because come on, this is too much.
Because come on.
Come on.
It's like
Okay.
the magic school bus, you know.
So, Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so it was partially inspired by the 1943 Walt Disney produced animated propaganda film Reason and Emotion, and explored the inside of
Okay, I'm sorry, Joe. I got to stop you there. We have to discuss that in a Patreon. I don't know what the fuck that is.
Reason and Emotion.
That sounds insane.
Reason is good, emotion bad. Brought to you by Disney.
This the Reason and Emotion, it explored the idea of transforming this concept into of the Omnimover ride into a Star Trek parody.
Interesting.
So the human head was to be represented as like the bridge of a spaceship. Like,
It becomes Inside Out.
it's basically the early incarnation of Inside Out.
Wow.
So basically, you would like it was like a theater show, and you would be looking through these two screens that were like the eyes of like a young of the protagonist of whose head that you're in.
Right.
Ellen's head.
of Ellen's head. When Michael Eisner had actually finally secured MetLife to sponsor the pavilion, the now named Wonders of Life, and it had like fully restarted development on this ride. And where am I? Oh my God, I literally have the same paragraph written out twice. That's so awful.
That was the fury with which you were texting me as you did your research.
Where I was like, I have too much.
He's like, I got a lot of shit here,
I
pal.
have way too much. I'm almost halfway through.
It's like 3 a.m. He's like, I got a lot here, buddy. I hope you can handle it. I'm like, oh, we'll do our best.
So one of the main characters of this ride was an army general known as General Knowledge. That was based on the Arlie Ermy character from Full Metal Jacket.
No!
Bullshit. I bet you could.
That's amazing.
Quote, we thought it would be funny if the character was supposed to teach you how to manage your stress. Teaching how to manage stress just screamed at you incessantly like a psychotic drill sergeant. This is what the Imagineer said. They also changed a pilot's name from Captain Cortex to Buzzy, a bumbling little young recruit. Rob Minkoff was slated to direct the animated pre-show, but he would drop out to take over a Roger Rabbit short.
Interesting.
What else do I have to say about this? I mean, this was a ride that I sadly never got to experience. But one interesting thing about it is because it just like remained abandoned for years and years and years, there was like urban explorers that would like go in and break into the back rooms of these pavilions, and someone actually stole the clothes off of Buzzy.
Nice.
No one, and then I think someone then just stole Buzzy, and no one knows where it is.
He's probably with the pig.
Literally, no one fucking knows where this
That's really
animatronic
good.
is.
Him and the Kaiser pig.
Man, you just sit on that for like 40, 50 years and sell it for upwards of
$4 or $5.
Yeah, before the FBI.
That and $1.25 will get you right on the subway.
Here's some real fun.
It's
like
an Ellen's
just some
torture
voices.
basement.
Some voices of this. The main show was presented in a 200-seat theater, and you would have people like here we go, Charles Grodin, John Lovitz,
Nice.
George Wendt, Bobcat Goldthwait, Dana Carvey, and Kevin Nealon doing their the Hans and Franz roles.
Whoa.
From
Very cool.
from Saturday Night Live.
A lot of straight white men here.
Yeah. I heard John Lovett take a dump once.
Well, I take back the straight thing.
and smelled it.
A lot of
pal.
straight white men and John Lovitz.
I did spell it, yeah.
Anyway, the other big ride over here was called Body Wars, and Body Wars was literally Star Tours, but inside of the human body.
Really?
Fantastic Voyage.
So, yes, it was Fantastic Voyage. Riders would be taken on a mission by the fictional Miniaturized Exploration Technologies Corporation, or MET.
Get met, it pays.
To study the effects of white blood cells on a splinter inside the left index finger of a volunteer.
That's really cool.
Now, you would go in the queue line. There'd be a voice, explaining like, "Welcome to blah 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 blah," and this was voiced by Jennifer Lewis from
J-Lu?
J-Lu, yeah.
Who's that?
I mean, she's more popularly known now for playing the grandma on Blackish. But she was like, I think in Dreamgirls. I mean, I just know her as like gay icon Jennifer Lewis. Like,
Cool.
she's just like, ha, Jennifer Lewis. What the hell? Don't fuck with me. Like, she's incredible. I love her. She's truly incredible.
Ooh, you should have said gay icon Jennifer Lewis.
During the boarding process, you would meet the volunteer in a film, Dr. Cynthia Lair, played by Elizabeth Shue.
Oh, hell yeah.
Karate Kids.
God bless us.
Adventures in Babysitting. The Boys.
The guests were told that they'd be that they would board vehicle Bravo 229 and be shrunk. Their mission was to meet up with Dr. Lair and bring her out because she was like inside the body. She's trapped. You need to go and get her. Captain Braddock, played by Tim Matheson, would be the guest pilot.
Nice.
So it's exactly what it was. You go in, you fly around the human body, you help a splinter get out. That's it.
We've all been there.
You help a splinter get out.
Like, yeah. You learn how white blood cells attack an unknown entity,
foreign object.
a foreign
That's
body
really cool.
inside
That's
of yours.
really cool.
Figures the white.
So
Splinter Cell.
the film segments of this ride, the film segments were directed by Leonard Nimoy.
Wow.
Cool, man.
It's wall-to-wall insanity.
Oh,
It's like
so
these
good.
people that are working on this thing.
Yeah.
But the real thing I want to talk to you about here is the shows that were offered here at Wonders of Life. The first show you would see was called Goofy About Health. The show was about 8 minutes long, and it would show the stress Goofy was under living in an urban life and the changes he could make to live a healthier lifestyle.
I'm just a maniac.
In the 8 minutes of the show, Goofy would rid himself of bad habits and ultimately live a happier life. The show consisted of over 20 different Goofy cartoons from over the course of 28 years.
Oh, yeah.
So
He's,
sometimes
like,
you'd
taking
see
heroin.
a stark difference in animation
When
style
Goofy gets
from
stressed, he
scene to
licks
scene.
his own dick.
The next show would be called the Anatomical Players.
Anatomical?
And they would perform sketch comedy about health and wellness with sketch titles such
Are they
as...
adult human beings?
Yes, these are adult human beings. With sketch titles such as Flossed in Space. Okay. This was a true bummer to watch even as a child.
Hey, everybody, we just need a suggestion from the audience.
The final
Gotta read
theater
it.
was called The Birth Theater and would feature a show called The Making of Me, a 16-minute film about conception and childbirth starring none other than Epcot's favorite darling, Martin Short.
You're shitting me. Is he really a favorite?
He's in multiple attractions, or was in multiple attractions in Epcot. Yeah,
He was in Clifford.
He was also like they had like a film about Canada in the Canadian Pavilion. They had like
that's right. He was.
but now it's Catherine O'Hara and Eugene Levy.
No way.
Now the new
that's
host of it, which is really cool.
That's good.
So
It's
when
right
it
there
first-
near the Schitt's Creek.
Right.
Yeah.
So when it first opened, obviously it was controversial as the topic of reproduction was seen as like unseemly for a theme park. Like, what? It sparked the need. It sparked the need to put a sign in front of the theater to let guests know what the fuck was going on. in
Yeah,
there.
which is like, you don't want to find out where people come from, buddy. These people are gross.
So the story of the show
ice
was
cover.
Martin Short wondering how he was created and sends viewers back in time to see his parents as young adults at some sort of like prom or dance hall scene. The movie then shifts to an animated...
We had the dance hall with the Short family.
The movie then shifts to an animated segment showing cartoon sperm trying to win the race to the egg.
We've all been there.
Nothing graphic was shown throughout this film, and it was lighthearted with obviously key aspects of the process left out.
Right.
They're not gonna like show
Yeah,
people
the
fucking.
money.
The drugs.
Yeah.
I also want to shout out
Money?
in the Wonders of Life Pavilion a little tiny thing called Coach's Corner, which would there were batting cages with
Cool.
and guests would receive pre-recorded feedback from professional athletes.
Pre-recorded
Great.
feedback.
Scott.
There was also a section of this pavilion that would show modern achievements in medicine, and this was actually updated quite regularly. Kind of cool. This is my mom's favorite pavilion. I mean,
Oh, that's cool.
she was a nurse. She loved it. She fucking loved Body Wars. That
That's
was like
so cool.
her shit.
She's like, I gotta go to Body Wars so I can learn.
Can I go to the sex pavilion again, Mom?
When you were talking about touring the human body, Aaron turns to me and mouths the words. He said, going by the organs, he goes, prostate.
Well, you said like giant organs.
He's nodding and winking at me and mouthing the word prostate.
Aaron's trip would be like, we're gonna go into Aaron's body and work the prostate.
Now listen, when do they swing by the bussy? You're the bussy boss, Joe. And you know you're.
Excuse me, where's the WAP?
Where's the WAP?
Excuse me, sir. The WAP? Where's the WAP located?
Oh, boys. In 2001, so in 2001, MetLife pulled the sponsorship out of the pavilion, apparently in a dispute about extending life insurance benefits for Disney employees.
No.
Always a good look.
Oh my God, it's so personal.
Yeah.
God,
Oh, yeah.
amazing.
You're going to learn
We're
a
packing
lot
up
about...
Snoopy and getting the fuck out of here.
Something about Michael Eisner you're going to learn is that he is a petty motherfucker. He is the pettiest of petty. So yeah, now like the swift downfall of the wonders of life began. So all the references to MetLife were removed and regular maintenance had waned. The coach's corner would be the first thing to go, next followed by the anatomical players. The wonder cycles were constantly breaking down. Sometimes this pavilion would be so short-staffed that the making of me was not available for guests to see. Cleaning pretty much ceased and a thick layer of dust came
breath.
over everything. Dude breath. Cast members from both Cranium Command and Body Wars were cut drastically. In 2004, the building was listed as a seasonal attraction, only to be open during the summer and Christmas time, which was like it's just peak attendance at the parks. Everything inside was pretty much left frozen in time since 2001. It was closed again in 2007, but this time nothing inside would ever operate again. The DNA structure out front was removed and everything inside was very blandly painted over. It still exists and it's still used,
You're shitting
the
me.
pavilion, but as a festival center for the various, because they do Food and Wine Festival, the Festival of the Arts, the Flower and Garden.
Right.
They do all kinds of year-round festivals.
Here's the thing I don't understand. Mm-hmm. He has this dispute with MetLife over the employees and their insurance.
Right. MetLife pulls their sponsorship.
And why doesn't he just shut the whole fucking thing down? Because it's too big a ship to turn around.
It was too big of a ship to turn around and be like. It was
still an
a place
attraction
that would still be able to have thousands of people walking
a
every
big
day. It was a
open
way
area.
to-
You milk it for as long as you can. You know, it's
Yeah, it's just we'll
useful.
do it until shit breaks down and we can't fix it. And then when we can't fix it, we'll just close it.
That's right. It's like my dad and his air conditioning.
Yeah, it's just like that, which we all know. What are you talking about?
Like, you gotta just, this thing sucks. No, I'm not gonna get a new one until it breaks.
Yeah.
So now,
Like, well, it's breaking.
All right, go ahead, Joe.
I want
Go
to
ahead.
take us over. I want to take us over to the next park. At the time, it was known as MGM Studios, now known as Disney's Hollywood Studios. So to understand the creation of MGM Studios, we first have to take a look at everyone's favorite CEO, Michael Eisner. Eisner is the butt of
Dick
he's
Cheney.
everyone's favorite. Eisner is the butt of many jokes over the years, but when he first took the job in '85, he really was responsible for completely turning the company around. With multiple box office flops and lackluster response to the theme parks at the time, Disney took their real chance on hiring the very first outside hire for a CEO and president. And I personally think it paid off.
Who was CEO?
I can't remember. I honestly, I can't remember. I can't remember. I just know Eisner is the first, like,
Everyone knows Eisner. Yeah.
I mean, you've heard the name Michael Eisner.
Yeah,
30 years.
it's
But also-
synonymous.
but before he worked for Disney, he was the president and CEO of Paramount Pictures from '74 until
Interesting.
'85.
Oh, I didn't know.
So he really he was a man of the entertainment industry, loved film more than anything else. So he knew how to take the America's nostalgia for film and turn a profit. One of the his first jobs was to make Epcot more successful, which is why he gave us things like the Wonders of Life Pavilion, the Living Seas, and whatnot. He pushed Imagineers to introduce Disney characters into Epcot. And when he first looked at the plans, when they were looking to expand Epcot with new pavilions, they were thinking of doing a pavilion about the history of cinema and film and entertainment. And he took one fucking look at this thing and said, well, this is a whole park. He took one look at this thing and was like, this is a giant idea. We can't just like put this in a little tiny, this is going to be scrap that. We're going to make an entire fucking theme park based on the idea of celebrating the history of film.
Smart.
Very fucking smart. especially when you consider that at the time, just down the street, Universal Studios was planning to open their Florida theme
Fucking
park.
bullshit park.
Wow.
I honestly, the
Nickelodeon.
Hulk ride in the Universal in
Islands of
Florida
Adventure
is pretty great.
Really cool.
Only one,
Great, smooth roller
only
coaster.
theme park I've been to.
Really?
Really? Oh yeah, you mentioned that when we were coming up.
Yeah.
Now you'd wonder why a failing company would decide, because at the time, again, we're talking multiple box office flops, theme park's not doing good. You'd wonder why they would approve like Eisner to be like, yeah, we're going to spend millions of dollars on a new theme park, even though we are not making any money. Like, at all. And there's multiple reasons. Eisner had multiple reasons for doing this. One being that Disney World had now grown from one theme park to an entire resort with 2 theme parks and multiple hotels and restaurants, so a new park would help with traffic. And another, it could be built relatively small and cheap for more likely success, which is why it still is currently smaller. It's the smallest park on Disney property. But I obviously personally think it's because like, oh, Universal Studios is opening down the street. We need to have our own movie themed park so that we can keep guests here.
Yeah, and also we started fucking cartoons. We've been doing movies forever. We are fucking movies.
Exactly. And also, funnily enough, Eisner had already had information on Universal because when he was at Paramount, the MCA, the company that owned Universal, was looking for help from other studios to open their theme park, get other people to offer their properties to be in the Universal Studios.
What year is this again?
So MGM Studios would open in 89.
And
so let's say this is around like 86, 87.
We're getting to like peak theme park kind of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we really are getting
Is there a peak?
Yeah, there's like, it's in the 90s.
and then I think it waned, and now I think we're back. Like, obviously pre-COVID times, but around now, I think we're seeing the resurgence of the theme park. Well, with like the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Galaxy's Edge, we're seeing these fully immersive lands that are changing the amusement park game.
And at the same time, like the others are totally struggling. Like you're just seeing like
The competition?
Yeah, like Magic Mountain is nothing.
So, like I said, since he knew all of this shit about Universal before he even came into Disney, it's obvious that he would use this information to his own benefit.
Sure.
So not just by doing like the concept of writing the movies like Universal Studios, but would actually have a working studio on site. And this really pissed off people at MGM. So in 1985, Disney made a deal with MGM to use their name and logo to create MGM Studios Disney Park.
Really?
As a tribute to classic cinema. This was also when Eisner made deals with other studios to make rides at Disney, such as Star Tours. Remember, this is the 80s. Disney didn't own half the fucking industry.
Yeah.
So he worked with 20th Century Fox, Warner Brothers, Lucasfilm, Paramount to take advantage of all these things that they had.
Smart.
With the notable exception being Universal. Who had already began construction nearby.
I don't like Frankenstein.
You're gonna love this. You're gonna love this, dude. The Universal had started construction already, where apparently Eisner would sit outside of the fence looking in at the progress of construction.
Whoa. That's fucking tight.
He's just in a chair. He just has like a regular chair.
Yeah.
And Disney made sure to keep these plans completely under wraps until Universal had made their official announcement that they were going to open a theme park. So Disney was actually able to beat them to the punch, opening a full year before Universal Studios.
No fucking way.
Yes.
Dude, that's incredible. And the whole time I was in Florida and I saw the MGM park, whatever, I didn't know that was a Disney thing. I had no idea.
So the thing is,
Is it in Orlando as well?
Yeah. It's on Disney property. This is all in Walt Disney World. This is Walt Disney World Resort.
But they're all so clustered together that I was like, oh, MGM has a park too, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, it never occurred to me.
So MGM was not happy at all to discover that they were going to use the park as an actual working studio, filming actual movies there.
That are not MGM movies. They're Disney movies.
Including, are you ready for this one? Ernest Saves Christmas was filmed in the Florida MGM Studios.
Save it.
Even before the park opened, they shot a movie there. So MGM sued Disney for violating their agreement. Disney would then countersue later when MGM responded by creating their their own failed theme park, the MGM Grand Adventures in Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Universal Studios out here is also, I mean, it was the studios before it was the park.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was Eisner. I mean, the thing is, like, Eisner, I'll get there in a second.
Go ahead.
The park had opened with only 2 attractions, a backlot tour and the Great Movie Ride, which were both pretty fantastic. The tour was originally 2 hours long, but we'd be pared down. It was 2 hours long with a break in the middle. You would literally go on a tour, take a lunch break, and then get back on the tour.
What would you do for lunch?
They would. There's.
You'd be at the canteen
Popcorn,
with all like the
Junior Mints.
the Blazing Saddles cast.
You know, well, I mean, it was, the thing is, there wasn't like a real backlot. It would be like, here, look at these studio buildings. Oh, now we're going to do, it was like, you know, the bit of like the studio tour out here when it's like, now we're going to take you through Disaster Canyon and we're going to do a flash flood and here's Jaws. It was like that kind of like shit. But it would be pared down only a year later when the working studio element of the park pretty much went away. The park continued to grow with attractions like Indiana Jones Stunt Show, Star Tours, the Honey I Shrunk the Kids play area, which was my favorite as a kid. And
Joe, I'm sorry, why was it your favorite?
because it was fucking cool, man.
It's all this giant shit.
It's giant shit. It's giant blades of grass and a giant ant you could climb on, and a huge Lego brick you can crawl inside of, and all these like ant tunnels and
did the
spider
ant shit,
webs.
yeah.
And you can get in like the bowl of Fruit Loops and do like your
That's
photo op
cool.
of I'm in a giant Fruit Loop.
Yeah, you have to say it like that too.
The other thing that was there, I just wanted to shout it out, was Muppet Vision 3D, which is
cool.
it's the very final Muppets film that Jim Henson had a personal hand in, before passing away in 1990.
Did he have AIDS?
No.
He died from being cool.
What? No, well, he basically pretty much died of like pneumonia because he was a Christian scientist who didn't believe in going to
is
doctors.
that what it was?
Like Steve Jobs shit?
Yeah,
Was
so he didn't believe in. So
No,
he was
that's not pneumonia.
Not for nothing. Like if he had just gone to a doctor earlier, he would have still been alive.
Yeah.
Like it was they caught it too late and it killed him.
Yeah.
Like it was a normal like.
That's what fucked up Val Kilmer too.
But he's still alive. He's still alive.
Val Kilmer's still with us. Just,
Yeah, but he can't talk.
Well, John, acting is more than talking.
He's emoting. He can still do this.
So one fun thing about this park is that this was a weird park because a lot of non-Disney characters made appearances in this park, obviously because of the acquisitions. Some of these characters included Ace Ventura,
What?
the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
Nice.
Cool,
the
cool.
Power Rangers.
Hey.
And that's not even beginning to crack surface. They had a live a streets performance thing for Goosebumps. Was briefly in this
So
park.
R.L. Stein came out and waved at everybody.
Love
Like,
it.
who's that guy?
So let's
The Haunted Man.
first talk about of the attractions here. I want to talk about Superstar Television. This was a 30-minute interactive show that would take guests through a programming day at the fictional television studio, featuring multiple adults and children chosen from the audience during the pre-show to act in front of blue screens or physical sets, and using a chroma key effect would be transported into popular TV shows.
Cool.
So
Wow.
That's
so
really
Honey,
cool.
you're in Sanford and Son.
the first part of the experience would be in the waiting area where guests would be would try to be cast in the show. Afterwards, those chosen were taken backstage to meet the director, provided with lines, costumes, and makeup.
Casting couch scene was shot.
Exactly. After entering the theater, 8 6-foot wide screens would show the audience what was going on. The participating guests would show up on channel Superstar Television 1 and would be featured on one of many different shows. The first show would be an episode of Today. The chosen audience member would give a newscast about the opening day of Disneyland.
They were in Katie Couric's asshole.
Which is that, but that's also Stay Tuned.
Yeah.
You're in the TV shows, Joe. You've seen Stay Tuned.
I have not seen Stay Tuned. actually.
You need to.
I've heard of this. I've
Yes.
heard of this. The
Continue.
most fondly remembered scene from this attraction was the I Love Lucy Chocolate Factory scene,
Oh,
where
that's a great
the
idea.
chosen audience member would be playing Ethel up against,
Wow.
very, very cool looking. The show would then move to the different decades of television, moved into the 60s.
What, Aaron?
Where you're in Lucy's asshole.
Oh, it's a chocolate fact. Yeah, very good. Very,
Very good, Aaron. Very good. Next, the show would move into the 60s with episodes of General Hospital, Walt Disney's Wonderful World of Color, The Ed Sullivan Show, and Gilligan's Island.
Wow.
There was also footage of the Apollo 11 moon landing scene with an audience member, usually a kid, holding up cue cards. That was like, it was one small
Holy
step from
fucking shit.
hilarious, right?
That's how you know it's fake.
Yeah.
There was also the Three Stooges pie fight that they would do.
Wow.
An episode
I
of
love
Cheers,
that.
The Golden Girls, The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, and The Late Show with David Letterman.
Holy
That is
shit.
amazing.
Around
That's
30
awesome.
audience members would be chosen for each show.
30?
30.
That's fucking
to participate with the
that's
different
amazing.
roles. This was extremely popular.
Yeah, of course.
Extremely popular.
This is the most
I'm on
exciting
TV.
thing. Yeah.
Over the years, new shows were added, like Home Improvement,
Will and
Full
Grace.
House.
Where you're in Bob's set.
24.
The final show was sadly in September of 1998 when it would close to make way for a new show, Doug Live,
What?
which
Doug
yes,
Live.
yes,
Oh,
was
like
a live
Doug the-
musical themed show around the cartoon Doug.
Now,
Really?
were they in Doug's asshole?
Doug, yes,
Yeah.
Doug did
You're
acquire.
a skeeter.
Disney did acquire Doug in 1996.
Sure.
Yeah, then it was on ABC.
The show, yeah, as brand spanking new Doug was
Yeah.
what it was rebranded as.
Wasn't as good.
It was not as
not
good.
as
The show cost around $6 million and would feature live singing and special effects with 5 original shows.
Did they do I Need More Allowance?
Did they do Killer Tofu?
Yeah.
So it was a bizarre show that would also feature audience participation. 1 child would be chosen to play Quail Boy and 4 adults to play the Beats.
Oh.
Nice.
That makes sense.
This show would only last for about 2 years before being closed and being replaced by a show promoting ABC television shows. But then was
sad.
closed in 2002, where it would remain unused until 2009 when the American Idol experience would open.
No.
Now, the American Idol experience, it would continue the tradition of audience participation, but this time
American
the
Idol
participants
is
were singing for votes. So
Oh, no.
each morning, guests would be able to go to the audition center in the back of the theater to participate in multiple rounds of auditions. If they got through those, they would be able to perform in one of the live shows throughout the day.
Amazing.
Singers can choose from one of 150 different songs to perform. The entire experience could take up a huge chunk of your day if you actually get through, all of
yeah.
the rounds.
Did any of that lead to... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Give me a minute. I will get there.
Okay.
American
So if
Idol
you
for
got
American
through all
Idol.
of the audition rounds, you were given a vote for me badge and a time to come back for your show. And what's funny is a lot of people that would like get these badges, like people would, they would get like stopped for photos and autographs, like by people around the park because they were wearing like vote for me. So you would come back an hour before your show time for a rehearsal, like a tech rehearsal or whatever. The time spent in the park before, like I said, people would literally be like, "Can I get your autograph?" If you were the winner of your show, then you would then come back later on for the final show of the day where you'd be competing against the other winners from the other shows throughout the day.
okay.
And the winner of that show would receive the dream ticket, which was a ticket that would enable you to bypass the line at any American Idol or
Sonic.
international, whether it be like X Factor, Australia's, like whatever, like anywhere that you go. It was, you were able to
America's Got Talent.
bypass
Pop Idol.
this.
Pop Idol.
Yeah.
Pop Idol. This would eventually
Dubai's
be
Got
closed.
Talent.
Dubai's got slayed.
Actually, believe funny, multiple winners of the show would actually go on to go pretty far in
Really?
American
Okay,
Idol.
yeah, that's
Some of
what I
them
was
were
wondering.
like coming in like the semifinals or the final, like going very, very, very far. It was closed officially in August 2014 and was replaced by a Frozen sing-along that remains there to this day.
Oh, you're so excited about that.
It's not for me. It's for 9-year-old girls who want to sing "Let It Go."
Yeah.
Good for them. Happy they have
Yes,
something.
absolutely.
Fuck that, man.
The next thing was called the Monster Sound Show, which was basically was to teach guests about Foley artistry.
Oh, that.
So this is
sounds
all
awesome.
like a lot of
I
this
love
stuff
that.
sounds like stuff I remember from Universal
from the
Studios.
early days of Universal Hollywood, right? So
This is my favorite thing now. Well, you just
Oh, Foley work.
Well, yeah,
Foley work,
absolutely.
so cool. So it would have audience participation where they would have like every show random guests from the audience were chosen to perform in sound effects for a short film starring Chevy Chase and Martin Short.
falling Foley.
So these two were in they would be a 3-minute slapstick scene where a hotel worker played by Short attempts to murder a life insurance agent played by Chase. It does sound a little morbid. It was all all comedy. It was very stupid and silly. It was sponsored by Sony and showed in the ABC Theater. It was unique in that it gave the volunteering guests like a hands-on experience of creating Foley artistry.
That's cool.
At the beginning of the show, a professionally made audio track would play along with the clip so that audiences would understand what was ideally going to happen. Then the volunteers were brought to the front. The clip was replayed so that they could go with it, and then the clip would go away and it would just be the audience participant doing it.
Smashing
really
some
cool.
lettuce together.
Yeah, that's such a good idea, though.
So, and this theater only held about 270 people. So overall, the experience was like pretty intimate for like a Disney show experience. The show ended up changing its content in 1997 because it was like a lack of youth involvement. So like they changed it from it being like a slapstick and spookum scenes to it being like animated stuff and like having kids do like, which obviously resulted in like kids having bad timing and like fucking up, and it was silly and fun. In 1999, it was closed for its replacement, Sounds Dangerous, which I remember very, very fondly. So this, it kept the theater focus and the use of sound. It was starring Drew Carey as a bumbling undercover cop.
Whoa.
The show had strived to take advantage of the actor's popularity because of the Drew Carey show was hugely popular on TV at the time. So it was unique in the way it was an audio journey as well as like a traditionally shot film. It started out with like a brief video, Undercover Live. It's a show about Drew Carey who was trying to bust a drug smuggling ring or whatever.
Classic Drew Carey.
So
Wanted to keep the drug.
when we see so basically Drew Carey, his character ends up like fucking up and fucks up the camera. So everything goes into pitch darkness and you get the rest of the show is basically like a radio play in pitch darkness.
Oh, cool.
Which was really cool.
Yeah.
Like, really, I mean, weird and wild and so different. Feels like fucking experimental. It feels like early Henson, like art film shit.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to plunge this whole audience into darkness and just play the sounds.
That's brilliant.
It is. And cheap.
That's part of the brilliance.
Yeah.
And they also, every audience member was issued binaural headphones.
Oh, great. So they get the stereo.
You get everything.
Yeah,
It-
right.
It's really weird that it was able to like almost like reimagine the idea of the radio play.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also just the appeal to imagination.
Yes.
Is,
Yes.
is so Disney.
The radio play works much better in complete darkness.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this would last until about 2011 when it would run seasonally, then closing a year later, where it would make way for a thing called Carbon Freeze Me.
Are you saying, is it because like they didn't have enough money to keep the lights on?
It was just like slowly was like waning in popularity. Like most anything that closes at a Disney park is just simply because people weren't going to it anymore.
Yeah.
Change it up.
That's what
Carbon Freeze Me sounds interesting.
This, I mean, it was an event during Star Wars weekends that would have guests' faces digitally captured by multiple cameras, and then they would be turned into an 8-inch carbonite figurine. Like,
and that's perfect for online, like, social media. You'd have
Exactly.
a picture of you as Han Solo.
yeah.
And facial recognition for the keep state.
And also, Disney is frozen beneath the park, I
It was
believe.
taken over by a Star Wars Path of the Jedi, dumb little like, here, look at like 13 minutes of Star Wars clips explaining what the Jedi are. Like, whatever.
Yeah, they're
shit.
just midichlorians.
What?
Yeah, it's in your blood.
Midichlorians.
Yeah.
The last ride I
haven't
want to
seen
talk
it in a
about
while.
in MGM Studios was Rock and Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith.
Oh my god, I rode that.
Yes.
And it's
It's incredible.
It's amazing.
It's incredible.
That,
So
are
this
you
ride-
joking me?
I swear to
This
God,
ride-
John
Open-
hates Aerosmith.
Dude looks like a lady.
Oh, we're gonna have so much fun.
How is that?
So this ride opened in MGM Studios in July 1999 and would also open in Disney Studios Park in Paris in 2002.
Yeah, you know they
Starring the
loved it.
world famous Aerosmith, this roller coaster
They
would be
saved the world in Armageddon.
This would be the first and only looping roller coaster in Walt Disney World in
okay.
Florida. So when MGM Studios had opened 10 years earlier, the guest reaction was not good. The overall consensus on the park dedicated to the glitz and glam of Hollywood was ultimately boring as fuck. Guests mainly complained about the lack of rides, and overall there were only 4 attractions, like 2 rides, 2 shows. That's it. That's all that was there. So there was like nothing to fucking do, especially when you consider the idea that there was a similarly themed movie theme park down the street with like 20 different attractions to go and see.
Yeah.
So
Here you gotta make your own movies here.
I also want to bring up that like everything Eisner ever did, by the way, was done out of spite. Like that's something that I want to. Like, he opened MGM because of Universal Studios. He put the living seas in Epcot because of SeaWorld. Like he. Like we'll get to California Adventure.
I love pettiness. Pettiness is so,
Truly a petty
it's so
motherfucker.
good.
Yeah, did Eisner like fund the documentary Blackfish?
Right. So Eisner decided they needed to bolster this park with new rides and attractions that were more thrilling for, teenage audiences. This is when he brought in the Indiana Jones Stunt Show, Star Tours, almost immediately after the park opened. But it took a long time to get Rock and Roller Coaster off the ground. The area that it was in would be a new expansion to the park in 1994 called Sunset Boulevard. And it was the theme was Hollywood in the 1940s.
Wow.
And there would be 2 e-ticket attractions, which is like the top tier. In the original days of Disneyland, things were sorted as A through E-ticket. So A would be this like the Monsanto Hall of Chemistry would be like an A-ticket attraction, whereas like the Matterhorn would be an E-ticket attraction.
Got it.
So the first one would be the Twilight Zone's Tower of Terror. And a roller coaster inspired by rock and roll music. The area itself and the Tower of Terror were open on time in 1994, but Rock and Roller Coaster wouldn't be completed until 1999 due to budget cuts and the abysmal opening of Euro Disneyland. Which
I remember that in the papers.
Yeah.
I remember
The
that as a
Simpsons-
kid.
The Simpsons made a big joke about it too.
hello, welcome to Euro Itchy and Scratchy Land.
Hello.
Who are you to deny it? Please buy a ticket. My children need wine. Itchy and Scratchy Land is my favorite episode of The Simpsons. Like, obviously. So construction for this for the ride itself for Rock and Roller Coaster began in early 1998.
They had to build Steven Tyler.
Where they were taking over a cast member parking lot. A few months before the official announcement would be made, to fit the theming of Sunset Boulevard, the ride would have, like I said, a heavy focus on rock music. Disney began looking for a popular band to host the new ride. While Aerosmith would eventually be the one to do it, they were not the first choice at all. Disney had first approached the Rolling Stones, who were super interested in doing it, but Disney would not meet their asking price of $10 million each year to use their likeness.
Wow. They are ruthless, bro.
They have so much money.
Yeah.
Disney would then approach Kiss.
That's a terrible idea.
Before
Once again-
Aerosmith? Fuck yeah.
But once again, an agreement couldn't be reached because apparently Kiss's asking price was even higher than the Rolling Stones.
Also, fuck yeah.
That says everything.
Because that band is no music and all merchandise.
Exactly.
They are
Literally,
action figures.
They were months away from opening this ride before they finally
You're
signed.
shitting me.
Like, we're talking 3 or 4 months before this ride opened. They still had not
So
found
you
it.
got one of the Imagineers going, what
So
the
they
fuck are
actually-
we playing on these speakers?
They were about to scrap the whole idea of a band hosting it and just make it like a tribute to rock music and have like different songs be playing. But around this time, Disney had already hired Aerosmith to do Don't Want to Miss a Thing for the Touchstone film Armageddon.
Yeah.
So they were already within the Disney pocket.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which I Don't Want to Miss a Thing had premiered at #1 on the Billboard Top 100, which was the first and only #1 single Aerosmith ever had.
Damn.
So Disney would approach Steven Tyler to talk about this, and he responded with extreme enthusiasm.
No shit.
Of course he did.
He was ecstatic, and with the band's asking cost being a tenth of that of the Rolling Stones.
Yeah, and a 20th of Kiss.
So Disney would
12
announce
scarves.
in June 1999 that Aerosmith would be the host of Rock and Roller Coaster with a rumored cost of $50 million. Rock and Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith would open 1 month later in July 1999. So guests would approach the outside of this ride. It would be G-Force Records. It would be like a recording studio building, greeted by a giant guitar with the neck extending out into like to look like a roller coaster track. Like it would just start like looping all over the place. Really fucking cool
very
looking.
cool.
Once
is
the guests
cool
were
looking?
it's really cool
It is,
looking.
yeah.
Once guests were inside, they would make their way through a lobby, which was decorated with ceiling high guitars and posters for Disney-owned recording artists. Guests would then enter a sound studio where we would walk in on Aerosmith finishing up a recording of Walk This Way.
Yep.
What? Why are you re-recording Walk This? Okay.
I don't know if we should do this again. I think we should do it again.
That sounds pretty good, man. And by the
whole
way, they
thing.
were with their sound engineer, played by, do you remember?
No.
Ken Marino.
No fucking way.
I didn't recognize Ken Marino then.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, when me and Jerry went a couple of years ago, when we went on, it was like, baby.
That's
Ken Marino.
amazing. That's amazing.
Holy
From
shit.
the Jew, the Italian, and the redhead gay fame.
Yeah. So Steven Tyler would greet the guests before their manager, played by Ileana Douglas,
No way.
would walk in and inform them that they were going to be late to a
Yes.
concert they had across town.
Yes.
And now Steven Tyler feels bad that he has to like leave the guests there. So he's like, why don't we all just give them backstage passes?
And that's why you get on the ride.
And that's why you get on the ride. So
Just like real life.
Yeah, is that what happens backstage?
Yeah, you get on the ride, kid.
So you're all you're not actually issued any backstage passes, but the idea is that you are, and you go out to the back alley behind the recording studio where a super stretched limo
And someone's like,
is
"Can I
going to
blow
take
you?"
you.
That's amazing.
So then guests go into the loading area themed like a back alley, get into the coaster train themed to look like a 1962 Cadillac limo. Each seat in every car in every train was equipped with state-of-the-art sound speakers to play music through, and each different train had different Aerosmith songs playing on them.
really?
Yes.
God bless.
So what they had, they only had 4 trains?
The idea of
nightmare.
rewritability.
This is John's nightmare.
One seated, the guest would hear the voice of famous radio personality Bill St. James talking about a concert that was happening, the concert across town, and that heavy traffic was surrounding the area. Guests would then hear a countdown from Tyler as the limo approaches a tunnel to really fuck with everybody during the countdown. Instead of at 0, when it hit 1, the train would then burst from 0 to 60 in under 2.8 seconds.
That's rock and roll,
That's
baby.
dope.
That's how you rock and roll.
And plunge into complete darkness,
Yeah.
down a tunnel. So then the music of Aerosmith would come blaring through these speakers as trains would fly through multiple twists and inversions indoors, passing different signs and landmarks to evoke the freeways of Los Angeles. The limo would eventually make it to the backstage VIP area behind the concert, where guests would then exit the vehicle and walk the red carpet and exit through the gift shop.
They find love in an elevator?
Though it closed in Paris to make way for the Marvel Iron Man roller coaster.
Hell yeah.
It still remains open. It now known as Hollywood Studios in Florida today.
Cool.
But guests do speculate that it's really only a matter of time before
course.
Aerosmith is completely irrelevant.
Yeah.
And it gets replaced.
I remember telling after when I went back to class in high school, after telling a friend of mine about that, and he said, "Oh, the Aerosmith ride. What happens? Is it old and crusty and everything falls apart?"
Jesus.
Dude, looks like a lady. Will you get
one more
out of
quick break?
here?
Sure.
Yeah,
one
let's
more
take a
quickie.
break. And we're back.
And we're back. All right, so now we're gonna, my lovely gentlemen boys here. We're
And
gonna
John.
move on and.
Any pictures
God,
of this story?
fucking damn it!
Do you have any
We're
visual
never
aids?
gonna finish this.
No, you will. You will.
You have
Go
some
ahead.
visual aids?
All right. So now we're gonna move on to the last park I want to talk about, the last theme park in this story.
The last gate.
The last gate that I want to get into, which is California Adventure, and I kind of want to talk about this park as this started as me looking into 1 or 2 attractions, and then I realized I just kind of have to talk about this whole park in
Talk about it,
general,
baby.
because this is the fever dream of Michael Eisner, like. Absolutely. So like we've been discussing Michael Eisner. He's got to be one of the most fascinating figures in Disney history. Like I said, saving the company from bankruptcy, fully transforming the theme parks into something completely different from what was originally conceived, but still gets a bad rap as his time for CEO, mostly because his most successful projects, like I said, were fueled by spite. Like I said, the living season Epcot was to spite SeaWorld. MGM to spite Universal. Animal Kingdom was to spite Busch Gardens in Tampa. And like we have California Adventure to spite the entire state of California.
You know what? I'm going to teach you to listen to that Busch Beer Company.
So he realized that visitors from out of state would only spend a small amount of time here at in the Disneyland resort, like a day or two, before breaking off to go see the
rest of the Golden State?
Yeah.
that this beautiful state has
You're
to offer.
shitting me.
Yeah, he realized that was the thing, and he was like,
how dare
Well, there's probably stats, you know. He's probably like looking at like movement stats.
It would be literally he would look at it and say people are coming here for a day
and they're going to Yosemite.
and then moving on.
Yeah.
So what can I do to at least keep them here for one more day, maybe 2 or 3? So when it came time to make the second gate for the resort here, he decided that he would replicate some of the famous sites from around the state of California, so that people wouldn't have a reason to leave the Disney bubble.
Skid Row.
From now on,
Wildfires.
I'm going to refer to California Adventure as DCA for the rest, just to save syllables in my fucking brain. DCA, Disney's California Adventure. Okay. So another thing that motivated the creation of DCA was money. Every single design throughout the park was made as cheaply as humanly possible, which meant that everything that makes a theme park was like done for as little money.
which really ruins.
It
a lot of
ruined
that.
everything. I mean, what it really resulted in was a lot of these rides in there being like cookie cutter and off the shelf. Even like the themed lands themselves were done so cheaply that included a seaside pier, which literally went against everything Walt Disney ever stood for when he opened Disneyland.
And when you're at the pier, half the time there's like half the water is not in the pier.
Not in, yeah. The lake would be drained half the time because they'd be working on the World of Color show in there or whatever the fuck it is. So like I said, the Seaside Pier, a Hollywood backlot. These are a lot cheaper than, let's say, a Wild West town in the mountains or like the depths of Southeast Asia, like in Animal Kingdom. And frankly, the entire concept at its core was flawed, as a California themed theme park in the middle of California just doesn't make any sense when you also consider that no Disney properties take place in California.
Oh, right.
None. Which means you could never smoothly integrate Disney characters into the concept of a California themed park. Even the most famous commercial for the park of the time showed a bunch of characters looking over the fence from Disneyland and be like, what's going on there? And they sent Buzz Lightyear on a recon mission. Really fun, like 1 minute ad. You can just look up original California Adventure ad on YouTube, and it's very, very silly. The only ride that had anything to do with a Disney property on opening day was a very loosely themed Little Mermaid carousel. It's the only thing that it literally any connection to any Disney
And it's
property.
a carousel.
It was not even like a big carousel. It was a children's carousel, like maybe the size of this room. Like it was
Damn.
small. But obviously, all the things were little secrets.
we
It was
shouldn't
cute,
Say
but
about
like,
apartment, but yeah.
but
Your living room is the size of a small carousel.
yeah, great. It's a great apartment in Chinatown. It's one in
Chineseville.
Yeah, that's also an attraction of California Adventure. Yeah, it's over here's Chineseville.
Yeah. They say they made the railroads.
They made a monorail.
People mover.
What we're left with here is a Disney park with almost no Disney, a stupid name, a micro budget, a design to spit on the very state it was built in, and the weirdest overall park experience ever.
Really quick, I just got to say.
Yeah, baby.
To the cynical tourists, which is also a shopper, if you could be like, if I could go to one place and take the California experience without doing all the shit, why wouldn't I do that? Do you know what I
It's
mean?
not good.
No,
I would
no,
sooner-
No, but on paper.
Oh, on paper.
On paper,
If you're a tourist and you haven't been to California, you don't know Big Sur, you don't know Joshua Tree, you don't know all that shit. And then you go like, well, we could also go to Disney, which is familiar to us because we've been to other Disney,
But, I mean, as we get into this, you're gonna see where it's like,
Okay, let's continue.
but like, why this?
Yeah.
Like rather than like some of the other
I'm
things
just
that
saying
you
the
could
pitch
experience.
has a little bit of a cynical.
So
Yeah, there's a potentiality
there's
in the
a
idea
nugget of a decent idea somewhere in there. If
Yeah.
there was like a land in the park themed after the experience of California, sure.
Yes.
But an entire theme park based on the concept of it's all California
Right.
in the middle of
Go ahead.
So when the park first opened, the first things that would greet guests when they would walk up to the park in the esplanade between Disneyland and California Adventure in DC were these giant letters that would spell out California in case anyone forgot what state they were in.
Meanwhile, it's a separate park. You have to walk across the parking lot to get
No,
there.
not a parking lot. It was literally just like it's
Not a parking
100
lot,
feet.
but yeah.
Like
you have to walk across a tarmac.
a little,
basically.
a little thing. Though I got as much as I make fun of the old California letters that were the idea. This was inherently cool. The concept was that it was supposed to look like a giant postcard for California.
Got it.
But you would only get that full effect when you were standing perfectly center in the esplanade looking at it. Anywhere else you would stand, it would just look like a cool, like sort of cool looking mosaic.
Okay.
It was whatever. It, like I said, at its core was a cool idea, but ultimately lost on pretty much everyone that would take pictures in front of it. Like no one would understand that. It's like, I wish there was like a marking on the ground.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
would be like,
here's where you stand.
like how they have like the photo pass, they like have that there to indicate like, hey, here's where you stand if you want like this really cool looking like California sunset mosaic with like the Golden Gate Bridge in the background.
You sound like a fungineer.
A fungineer?
I really wish I had the math skills to be an Imagineer. Like, I really wish.
No. That's why you're a fungineer.
Yeah, a fungineer.
Yeah.
Fungineer.
I just want to say really quickly also,
Yeah, baby.
one of the first things you said when we were talking about, even before your first profile, was you talked about doing specifically Imagineers on the show.
I love.
And we didn't really say throughout the course of this entire program what an Imagineer is.
Yes, that is very, very true.
Good call.
So just briefly explain what that is.
So an Imagineer, it's a very broad term for anybody that works behind the scenes at any Walt Disney theme park. So this can mean like you actually are physically building the models, or you're painting sets, or creating miniatures, or for whatever phase of like a process, whether it's a show, a ride, a restaurant, a hotel, anything that's involved in the design. Backstage elements of what you see at Disney.
A visual director
of sorts.
And especially once these things are now coming into the three-dimensional in something like a ride or an interactive show or whatever. Yes.
I mean, if anybody out there, if you don't know anything about this and I'm sparking your interest at all, truly the Disney Plus series, The Imagineering Story, is fantastic.
I never even heard of that.
You're going to see... It's like a little, you could obviously, it's biased because it's in
Disney
but
Plus.
Also it doesn't shy away from saying shit like there was union disputes with Walt. Like he was kind
cool.
of like
Okay.
it doesn't shy away from that. It whitewashes it without ignoring it.
Sure.
But it's a great fucking series, man. Like I, someone who's seen like 100 million YouTube videos on all of these things, was still learning a little something from watching this.
Yeah.
And it's an extremely accessible series for anybody who's interested in any of this.
And it sounds like there's people coming from just like Hollywood costuming, set design, and they're all putting together this type of shit.
And it's laid out kind of in the way that I laid this out, where it's like it starts at the beginning of the Disney parks and like works its way through the timeline of how this all kind of came together.
Just a little segue for the listener.
If you're out there, you're listening, check out the Imagineering Story. Maybe my favorite thing that was there, like day one Disney Plus. Like incredible shit.
Cool.
And you also get like restored footage from like fully colorized restored footage from like
Of
the
Walt
original
Disney riding a
telecasts and like, you know, opening day stuff where you're watching and you're going, oh, this was shot like yesterday, but like this was filmed in
Nice.
1955.
Wow, cool.
And it's gorgeous looking. There's a lot of really cool, like the Wonderful World of Disney, like park specials are on Disney Plus. Super cool to watch. So, yeah. Like I was saying-
California Adventure.
Sorry, California Adventure. The outside, the front of it, it was supposed to be like a giant postcard. There was also, like I said, there was a scale model of the Golden Gate Bridge that guests would actually walk under as they were entering the park. That would actually have the Disneyland monorail passing like through it. So this was a really cool, picturesque thing to look at. You'd think that having the monorail passing over a major looking thing in California Adventure, right at the entrance of the park, there's had to be a monorail station in the park, right? I mean, like, why would you put a monorail station, like a monorail coming right through the entrance of the park if you're not going to put a station there, right? Yeah, so there wasn't a monorail station in this park at all. It would just like pass over and it was like, where can I? There was only ever 2 monorail stations in Disneyland, one in the middle of Disneyland and Tomorrowland and way off in the outskirts of the downtown Disney shopping area near the hotels. It was the only, so makes no fucking sense for this thing to literally be front and center in this park. Be like, look at the monorail. You can't ride it though.
So pissed.
So the main street of the equivalent of Main Street in this park was called Sunshine Plaza and had vague California theming throughout.
It's a pot store.
It was loaded. It was loaded with about, let's say, roughly 45 million puns. Every single place you looked. My personal favorite one at the time being Burbank ice cream. Personally, that was my
that's
only.
nice.
Yeah.
That's the best one.
It looked cheap and it felt cheap. The only thing of note to mention here was the sun icon, which was supposed to be like the castle. You know, like it's supposed to be like, Disneyland has Sleeping Beauty's castle, Magic Kingdom has Cinderella's castle, Epcot's got Spaceship Earth. But this was just like a giant, like, I guess, bronze looking sun that wasn't even that big and impressive looking. And like the idea was that it was
the
supposed to
real
like,
sun's-
it was supposed to like catch and reflect the light like given by the sun, but like it wasn't even built properly in the right place. So they actually had to build like reflecting panels to make the light go to
Everything you're establishing about this is saying this park is a half-assed.
Which is also very
the whole- I will
California.
say-
And it's a Mickey Mouse
If
operation.
there's one thing, this is a Mickey Mouse rinky-dink operation. Honestly, Matt, you're not wrong. Like this whole thing was built for so cheap.
Yeah,
Like
Walt Disney died for this.
And this is still Eisner, and it's still
this
his
is
baby.
still Eisner. This is, if anything, this is the Eisner Park. Like this is the one that he was like,
So yeah.
I believe in this. This is everything I've ever
way.
wanted. Like this was the T for Michael Eisner. This was it. Honestly, but by the way, this sun icon wasn't even the most impressive sun in the park. Like there was literally a cooler looking sun on the Ferris wheel in the like Seaside Pier area. Like what? Okay. It looked like a hubcap spray painted gold. Like it was awful looking. The next main area of the park, it was called the Golden State, and this was broken down into 6 sublands, which, if that sounds excessive, it is. Completely excessive. Most other lands in Disney, if you were going to break it down into sublands, 2, maybe 3, 6, come on now. Just fucking break it up into multiple lands. So these were called Condor Flats, Grizzly Peak Recreation Area, Pacific Wharf, Bountiful Harvest Farm, Golden Vine Winery, and the Bay Area. So I'm going to blow through most of these really quickly because there's not much to say. First, we'll start with the Bay Area, which the only thing of note to mention here was a show, like a movie called Golden Dreams. which is, of course, Dreams of Golden Showers.
Yes,
No,
thank you. It's been
Nice.
fixed, Yeah.
no, I'm kidding.
It's
Very
sick.
drunk. This was basically a film about the history of California, telling the story through a fictional character, Queen Calafia, played by Whoopi Goldberg,
No.
as the framing device for the stories to be told. Guess what? Entered the theater a replica of the Bernard Maybach facade of the San Francisco's Palace of the Fine Arts. Very cool looking, but obviously very small compared to what the actual Palace of the Fine Arts looks like in San Francisco. If you've never been, spectacular. It's gorgeous. Have you ever been? Anybody?
I've been to San Francisco, but not to the Palace of
No.
Fine Arts.
I mean, it's like it's outside of what was the old location for the Exploratorium. But you know the Exploratorium, the hands-on science museum? Okay, wow. Oh my God. Y'all haven't lived in the Exploratorium.
Get him, Joe.
Come on now.
No, you're right.
You're right.
Basically, it was just an educational film. But I hate the Hall of Presidents that we talked about earlier. But at least they have cool animatronics.
Yeah, at least it's not a Queen Latifah movie.
This was literally just a history lesson.
Yeah.
Not exciting. No one needs that.
Next, we're going to move on to Bountiful Valley Farm. Now, if you think that name is exciting, I can't wait to tell you what the attraction was.
You think that name is exciting?
Bountiful Valley Farm was a display of farm equipment and some flowers and some old farm equipment and farm equipment merch. And that's it.
You know, the plow was able to
Truly.
cut through the soil.
I mean, it's the magic of Disney.
That is really desperate, dude.
This was literally the very first attraction mentioned in the guide maps. You would open and the first thing
Come to the
you
junkyard.
see is Bountiful Valley Farm presented by Caterpillar.
Yeah.
Experience a growing tribute
good.
to
Disney would be
California's
proud.
heartland.
And was it funded by Caterpillar?
It was literally, yeah, it was. It was,
No, really?
yeah. You would go and look at Caterpillar tractors and that's it.
That's amazing.
Oh,
So
God.
these people come from fucking Kansas. There's Caterpillar tractors all over the place. Like, hey, you got to go see the plow. They're like, I have this at home.
I know this.
The only other attraction in this area was a 3D movie called It's Tough to Be a Bug, which was a borrowed 3D movie from Animal Kingdom in Florida. It was already open there. And in Florida, it's housed inside in Animal Kingdom inside their centerpiece, the Tree of Life, which is a gorgeous, hundreds foot, it's a tree with every animal conceivable carved into the bark of it. It's stunning to look at. Remains my favorite icon of any Disney park. Wow. It's so fucking cool because you see the animals on the actual tree, and then you get on that line and you start walking.
they got a
and you
bulldozer
see that
here.
even the roots are carved into
Caterpillar.
animals and stuff, and it's so pretty. The one here is inside of a square warehouse-looking building with Bountiful Valley Farms painted on the side.
And they have crop
It
circles
was-
or something.
Literally, it was an ad for the rest of the attraction that was around. So stupid. And then next to that was the Golden Vine Winery, which offered wine tastings and a film about wine. That's it.
For the moms.
Then there was the Pacific Wharf, which was also next to Bountiful Valley Farm with multiple food offerings and a couple of films.
And that guy from the Star Trek.
Yes.
Nice. Nice. We did that earlier, but nice.
There was a sourdough bread factory that you
Yes.
can go into.
Yes. Honestly, my parents and we went through Disney, and I asked my friend Dana. He's like, do all this stuff in Disney, and then go to
Get your free bread.
Yeah, then go to California, look at the bread, and then do the thing where you fly above everything, and that's the only thing to do in California.
Wait, so
Adventure.
California Adventure still exists?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, dude.
I thought this was a failed.
Oh,
No,
Oh, it was failed, but they've improved on it over the years.
Okay.
They fixed it
Yeah.
over there. They're not just gonna close a Disney theme park. They're
There's
gonna
yeah.
fix
they're not going
it.
to turn it into a parking lot. It already was.
It already was. We're gonna fucking fix it.
You
add
understand-
more
Also, you
shit.
should check out the parking lot attraction.
You have to know, John. They're never gonna close a Disney theme park in its entirety.
and also that's part of the strength, right? Euro Disney, huge joke.
It's still there.
It's still there.
They
Now,
have-
but
they
now
own the land.
known as Disneyland Paris.
Right.
It changed its name.
Well, yeah, they had to rebrand. But I'm just saying, the way you introduced California Adventure, I was like, all right, well, this thing's going down the tube.
Well,
Yeah.
the thing, but you're not wrong though, because almost everything that I'm going to talk about here, it's not there anymore. That's why it turned into, I want to talk about this one ride, this other thing. And then it was like, wait, but the whole experience of the original California Adventure is pretty much gone.
Yeah.
Like, it's an absurd thing. So that, like I said, there was the sourdough bread factory.
You see bread. You see bread.
But then you get
the process
a
of bread.
piece of sin. You get a nice piece of
Yes.
sourdough at the
Yes.
end.
That's tasty.
Freshly baked sourdough. And then next to that,
it's very much like the movies. All the things they were doing earlier, where they're the production of something,
Yeah.
the grass growing. They're going through all of this stuff, and you get to see bread made. And you go, now I appreciate
cool.
bread.
Shit. Fuck. I know one of these films, like one of like the actor hosts in it. Oh my god, I wish I could remember. I feel like it's Rosie O'Donnell or something like
she
that. Like
loves
something
bread.
really wild.
bread, the people's
The other thing
food.
that was there, was a tortilla factory sponsored by Mission Tortilla. And
Amazing.
you would, if it was your birthday, they would give you a fucking bag of tortillas for free.
That's nice.
Wow, because those are all of 40 cents.
No way to prove it. Hey, it was a great way for if you were like 19 and broke, you would go say, "It's my birthday," and they give
But
you
you
a
gotta
bag
pay for
of
the
tortillas.
You gotta pay $40 to get in there.
Okay, I'm gonna put it like this. You're a 19-year-old college student who made the stupid decision of I'm gonna buy a Disney pass.
Yes. Now let's check it out.
That
And I'm
checks
gonna
out.
go there all the time.
You're like, I gotta use the bank.
I can't afford to eat.
I gotta get some
I
tortillas.
can't afford to
get
eat
loaded
while
on
I'm
some
here.
free wine.
What can I do?
Learn how
I'm
to
gonna
use
go
a
to the Mission
Caterpillar
Tortilla
tractor.
Factory, get a free bag of tortillas. And there's my fucking snack for the day.
Fair.
So fuck you. This is pretty much, aside from all that, that's pretty much it for that little section of what was known as the Golden State.
Dude, I that's complete. I never heard of California Adventure.
This is so funny. I can't.
I never heard of that. Never.
Next up in the Golden State area, the other side of the Golden State area was a place called, it was the subsection Condor Flats, which is where Soarin' is. The ride itself isn't inherently weird, but I love the theming around it. Really is, because it's like themed like a desert airfield.
Yeah.
Like
This bird's almost dead.
all the buildings around like
not
resembled plane hangars, the ground painted to look like a tarmac. Some of like old timey planes and parts were scattered throughout the area. It's very
The
bizarre.
whole place sounds like a junkyard.
I mean, basically.
Next to this was probably, is, and will probably always remain my favorite area
your
of the
favorite
park.
smoking spot.
The Grizzly River Recreation Area, which was meant to look like the state, like the northern half of the state, like the national parks up there, like Yosemite. Absolutely stunning area of a park, impeccably themed. It houses an amazing rapids ride, which is really fun, still there.
I think I remember.
And the theming hasn't changed at all. It still remains exactly 100% the same as it was. It also has the huge rock formation in the shape of a bear that would become what everyone would know as like the park icon for that. Like people like California Adventure would
Wanted
try
the
to have
sun.
the sun icon be
bear,
like its
dude.
thing. It's the fucking giant mountain shaped in the head of a bear. Are you
Which is on the state
insane?
flag.
yeah, that's a. Yeah.
And you got to go back to the Kaiser pig. If you're gonna have a rock bear, it's an aluminum pig. It's the same shit.
There really isn't anything like weird or crazy about this place. If anything, it's like the most idyllic
Yeah.
location in
I
any
remember-
U.S. Disney park.
Yeah, I
Peaceful.
remember Grizzly Rabbit. Yeah,
It is.
the tube. You're in the
There's
big
a
raft
back
tube.
like little walkway where you can walk like around the back of the ride that no one, literally almost never a soul is on.
Yeah,
And
I
it
think
is-
one of my friends got a hand job back there on grad night.
Oh, dude, I mean, it used to be where like the smoking section was.
Yeah.
And like you can, I mean, like
wait,
even today you could probably get away with smoking half a cigarette back
Yeah.
there and no one would see you.
That's
Bust
nice.
down.
Good.
No, like
Have a bust down.
right near there was one of the bathrooms. There was a huge smoking section there.
Yeah. That's like obviously they're all gone, but that was like the
That was the
smoking
one.
area.
Yeah,
in
you could see all
DCA.
these dads being like,
Because it was huge. Like, it wasn't like this like little fenced off area. It was this giant stretch of walkway that was
see all
just
these
a
dads
smoking
being
area.
like, I can't believe I had these kids.
That because there was nothing on this pathway, no one would ever walk it.
Sure.
And still no one ever walks it because there's nothing to see or do.
Yeah,
on
you
this
got to be on the
huge
rapids. Why would
stretch
you
of
be
path.
there? Yeah.
you gotta be smoking cigarettes.
But it's like if you can imagine, like there's two paths that are going like this, and the ride is in the middle.
Right.
Everybody takes this path. No one takes that path.
Right.
And it's still like that.
Right.
It's kind of just like that phenomenon of human traffic that no one's gonna walk that way
Yeah.
for some reason.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
It freaks them
Wow.
out. Yeah.
It freaks them out.
You gotta use Aerosmith there.
And you say, so you're saying that when we go for the first time, you take me for the first time, that we can smoke stoves on that fucking thing?
No,
We're
we
gonna bust
can't.
out?
We're gonna get kicked the fuck out if we try to smoke
fine,
inside that
fine.
park. So now, like, we've reached the peak, the pinnacle
The
of
Matterhorn.
DCA. So obviously, the rest is just gonna be downhill from here. It's all
Fantastic.
gonna be.
That's my favorite.
I say very quickly, but obviously that's
It depends
a
on
loaded.
us. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. We'll talk about Paradise Pier, which has gone through the most changes of anywhere in this park over the years. It's now known as Pixar Pier, and before that, it was Paradise Pier, but it was known for evoking this like 1940s, very like kitschy,
Noirish.
specific time period. Seaside amusement park. But before that, Paradise Pier on opening day was a perfect recreation of a slightly cheap, slightly run down, slightly tacky present day boardwalk amusement park. There was nothing special about any of the rides as they were all quite literally off the shelf rides, like swings, a Wild Mouse roller coaster,
swings?
like the swings that
Those
would like
swings.
Oh.
The carousel-ish swings. Yeah.
which are fun, but you could find it every
Anywhere.
fucking carnival
Any
in
carnival.
the world. And like
Ferris
like a
wheel.
launch tower, like one of those where you'd sit, it would shoot you up, you come back down, and that's it. Though I will say that launch tower was pretty cool looking because the theme was to look like one of those like carnival games where you hit the mallet and the bell would
that's
ring.
dope.
That is
So that
cool.
was kind of
Plus,
cool.
you get to, what did you get to see? Did you get to see like all of like the park? And
Yeah,
everything?
but like, what was there to see? Like Bountiful Valley
Disneyland.
Farm.
No, you
Yeah,
get to
you'd
see Disneyland.
Disneyland over there and be like, God, I wish it was at that
California.
park.
I wish it was.
Hey,
God, I wish I
Disneyland, that's
spent
in
my
California,
$100
too.
going to that park. Out of all of these cheap, terrible rides, the one I want to mention here was the Orange Stinger, which was the swings ride. And the only reason that this was of any note is that it was a typical swings ride that was inside of a giant orange
It is Tropicana.
for no reason. California's not known for oranges. Like
Oh,
that is.
well, actually.
Well,
Are they?
Well,
Orange
is Cal-
County.
That's fair, but there's also Orange County, Florida.
Where they built Disneyland was the
Orange Groves.
You're right.
As far as the eye could see, dude.
You're right. But nowadays, it's like when you,
nowadays,
you think
yeah.
oranges,
No,
you
it's
think
almonds.
Florida.
It's almonds and room
I
and
agree.
water.
I agree.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
The thing opened in like 2001. Like
But it's a nod back
It's
to
a
the,
nod.
you know.
Here we displace people.
so it was inside of a giant orange, and the seats were made to look like bees. But these were so poorly designed that they were removed after 13 days.
That's not good.
As apparently, like
Nobody liked the
parts of
stinger.
the seats were falling off. Like it also smelled like oranges inside this thing, and there would be the sound of bees buzzing.
Oh
Sounds
my
like a
God.
fucking nightmare.
Yeah. What
A
a,
nightmare.
disaster.
Stinger.
The other thing I want to talk about in this area it was the roller coasters, California Screamin', which is a good roller coaster. It's completely fine, but the more you think about it, the more it'll make your brain melt because, okay, it is a steel roller coaster themed to look like an unthemed wooden roller coaster in a land themed as an unthemed seaside pier in a California themed theme park in the middle of the already California themed California.
That's so stupid. What if we were not?
I took that last bit. I will say I took that last bit from Defunct Land. I will say a California-themed theme park in the already California-themed California. That's a Kevin Perjurer line, and I needed to take because that's the funniest fucking thing I've ever heard.
So all these things that you were saying about, it's a nondescript pier and a nondescript border.
Yeah. I'll say it again.
That's kind of the point.
A steel roller coaster themed as an unthemed wooden roller coaster, and a land themed as an unthemed seaside pier.
We're simulating the rickety roller coaster that might fall apart.
Right.
When we actually are a safe roller coaster that will not kill you.
Maybe we were really cheap about it. So
that's so funny.
It seems all the things that you were saying before, the generic Ferris wheel, generic shoot up the launch tower, the swings. It's kind of the point.
Yeah, it was the point.
Yes.
But the thing was because there was no people were able to
the best theme
give it
is
more
no
leeway when they re-themed it to be like, well, we're going to be like a pier in the 40s.
Right.
Then people were like willing to give it a little bit more leeway because
At
it was
2000s prices.
Yeah.
somehow with all of this that I've already talked about, this isn't even come close to the most insane thing that was happening at DCA.
There's more?
Oh yeah, the final land here at the time of opening was Hollywood Pictures backlot. Now I want to start off by telling you how the elephant statues that were out front looked like they'd been skinned alive.
Oh my God.
But what I learned about this is that it's even more baffling than that. So these elephants, they would say there'd be two elephants on pillars that would greet you. That would be the entrance to Hollywood Pictures backlot. These elephants were specifically based off of the Babylon set from the 1916 film Intolerance, which was such a box office bomb, it bankrupted the studio and it left its director in financial ruin for the rest of his life. These elephants greeting you into this area are a literal monument to failure.
Wow.
The rest of this area is home to maybe the worst Disney attraction of all time, and we'll get there. First of all, the theming of this land is completely confused. Is it a set? Is it a backlot? Why do all these buildings have pun names like Ben Hair and Epic Salon or Dial M for muscle workouts?
No.
Why is
Dial M for muscle workouts?
Yeah. Why is the entrance themed to old Hollywood, but the inside of the land looks like modern tacky Hollywood? Nothing makes sense. Nothing. I want to talk about one show, one restaurant, and one ride in this area, and then we're done. The big show in the area at the time of opening was called Steps in Time, and it was a musical review of different Disney songs. Now, I really cannot get that deep into this because, again, we could do an entire episode about this show alone. Or not even. I could come back and do 20 minutes on this show by itself. It's fascinatingly bad and weird. I will say it featured actual child actors on stage. And a fairy godmother character that looks like RuPaul in 1997.
That's cool. That's progressive.
That was uncomfortably flirty with the kids on stage.
Oh, yeah. Where are they now?
Not only that, but at one point, the main child actor sings A Whole New World, the most famous love duet from Disney ever with this fairy godmother character.
Nice.
The show was so hated that it closed in less than a year. It's since been replaced by Aladdin live on stage, which was in turn replaced by Frozen live on stage. Both extreme improvements, really cool live shows, really cool effects for like a theme park 40-minute musical that you go and see. Really, really fun. Very big improvements over Steps in Time. The restaurant in this area was called the ABC Soap Opera Primetime Bistro.
That's a bad name.
It's a bad name. There's like 9 syllables in there. Like
ABC Prime
ABC
Rib?
Soap Opera Primetime Bistro. So many
just call it a
syllables.
restaurant.
This restaurant was themed around, you guessed it, the ABC soap operas at the time.
I did guess it in my head. I
Soap
totally
operas are not
guessed it.
prime time.
With the different
Day in a
exactly,
life.
they're daytime.
General Hospital.
Each area of the restaurant.
Wait, what kind of food does General Hospital have? I'm sorry.
Jello.
Go ahead.
Hospital food.
So each one of these areas, the restaurant was split up into 7 distinctly themed different areas.
Oh, no.
From the afternoon lineup of General Hospital, One Life to Live, All My Children, and Port Charles.
My grandmother would have loved this.
So these areas were Luke's Bar, Kelly's, the Docks, the Stables, the Lion View Country Club, Chandler Mansion, and the Nurses Station.
This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my
The
life.
hosts would be dressed as ABC pages. And each area of the restaurant was themed so much down to the different types of chairs used in the different areas.
Oh my God.
Are people who, I mean,
So this this day is one of the most heavily themed restaurants that's ever been in any Disney park. Like they threw and I've never been, but I've seen photos and genuinely wish I could have gone to this restaurant because
Well, you did background on
I did
soaps.
many an episodes of General Hospital in my life.
And okay.
Yeah, you have a look about you that says background on the hospital. I'm sorry, I didn't.
Miss Ma'am, she didn't always have blue hair. Like, come on now.
Yeah, what? He's got to go to the hospital all the time? What are you talking about?
I'm
I was trying to think of an insulting thing to say friendly.
I'm going to take the fastest pee break before we talk about the final thing here. The last ride, the last everything.
right.
Because this is the pinnacle of insanity.
This is the hell of Mr. Toad. Coming up, right?
It's what if Michael Eisner had a fever dream of what Mr. Toad could be? Is what,
I like that.
Starburns Audio.